me because I was muted. So there's that also. Ladies and gentlemen, hopefully everything is coming through smoothly now. The audio should be clear. Our mics should be on fire. And everything should be running smooth. Let me know how you feel. No drop frames. Everything's looking smooth. Looks like we're good. I had to swap up out of Zoom. I think I might end up just canceling my subscription from Zoom, though. I'm gonna have to look into some things. I know before Discord caused some audio and voice delay. So chat, let me know how that's coming across from me and also from Pong, because I can adjust some of that just to make it a little bit of a better, not a little bit, because I want it to be the best viewing experience for you all, because I know it's not going to really matter on the audio side of things. But if you guys can help me make this the best audio and visual experience that you can for when you are live, that'll be awesome. But just, yeah, be on the lookout for that, for the Discord things going on here. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let's go ahead and get this thing ramped up, started. We're already a few minutes late here, but that's all right. That's Bo in the chat is saying, yeah, Zoom ain't it. Zoom has been working fine for us this entire time. That is what's extremely ironic. Zoom had a recent update that went out last week, and ever since that update, and I've been running OBS in the background all week too, just to make sure. But ever since that update, for whatever reason, Zoom is causing OBS to crash. Now, I'm assuming that's what it is. We'll find out if OBS crashes again and Discord crashes, or if it crashes again, then it's Discord and there's some other issue. But nonetheless, we'll find out what's going on and why we're getting some issues here. But Pong, go ahead and introduce yourself to these beautiful people first. Go ahead and get some of these shout outs in, because there's people already coming in here dropping bombs. They're wanting to come on a bomb run. They've been watching the news recently. They said, you know what? I got to take my anger out on Living Split Screen, and I'm just going to do bomb runs all morning long. But nah. How are you feeling, brother, from another end? Yeah, talk to these beautiful people while I adjust some things in the background for us. Definitely were. Yeah. Fucking crazy. Your number is always 69. Oh, okay. Wolfpack. Cool. So I want to get some clips this week. I got a lot of other clips that I got too, but I want to get some money to get a lot more. You were muted anyway. Nice. There we go. How about now?
Are we back? Are we back, everybody? Let us know. Yes, we do read the chat, but Steel was dealing with OBS.
Yeah,
didn't see the comments.
No,
So,
I can't see none of the comments right now. I can't see none of the comments right now. I can't see nothing else going on. So sorry, ladies and gentlemen. If you guys are chopping it up with us in chat, I do apologize. I'm trying to work the background to make sure everything's running smoothly. Again, trying to figure out why OBS is crashing. So here it goes.
Is it crashing again?
No. Yeah, I mean, we're good right now.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Tim the Sorcerer comes through and says, hear you both now. So let's start again, everybody. Happy Saturday to you all. Thanks for joining us on Living Split Screen. Telling you what, man, we had a stretch run where we didn't have any issues on Saturdays. I'm telling you, I don't know what happened. This is tech. Sorry, y'all. Sorry for the late start. Sorry for the tech problems, but we are getting it straightened out. Trust us when we say we hate it even more than y'all as while trying to watch this shit. So thank you all for being here for Living Split Screen, episode 136. And as I was saying, I'll go back through it again. This chat is freaking amazing because the Splitters hype train already came through a town near you. If you've already boarded, welcome. You saw the Mach 2.0 sign up, but you probably just saw it change to Mach 2.5 due to a couple of early risers this morning. That's right. The first one being the legendary Yobi, who did an NFL pregame flyover for us before we even got started. And he came in with the easy 10 bomb. That's right. He came in with the easy free throw line dunk on the court. With the $10 super chat, legendary Yobi, love you, brother. He says, hashtag peace, love, life. Steel got the steel. Pong got the soul. They are just being themselves while living split screen. Let's go. As I was saying early, I like the little Dr. Seuss in there. Yobi, appreciate you, brother. Choo-choo, motherfucker. Choo-choo. And then, of course, the one and only Bold Alpha Wolf Pack. That's right. His pack was out there hunting early this morning, and he came on through and he said, I found these 5 tickets out in the woods today. I found these 5 tickets to the Splitters hype train. Add another car. Let's get this Mach 2.5 engine rolling. And that's exactly what he did, because he got on the court and he said, I got this layup for y'all. Easy 5 bomb right here for you, showing you how it's done. And chat, we're ad free. We were ad free in 2023. We are planning on being ad free in 2024 as long as you all hit your massive goal of 69. That's right. It's always 69 around here on Living Split Screen.
Oh God, Vandal.
We're not going to be selling beans. We're not going to be selling beans here. What's up, Seal?
Vandal, that's a little too far, man. I got to start questioning you a little bit. What's going on? He says, we've been bad, Daddy Pong. Raise our goal. Punish us. Whoa. I think this is not that kind of a show, you know?
Yeah, well, we could turn it into that if you really want the Splitters hype train to run down your tunnel. Whoa. We're going to have to see. We're going to have to see how much you're willing to make it work.
You don't start getting naked until about 11 o'clock midnight, you know? That's the best time.
It's too early, bro.
It is. I'm not even in that mind frame right now. Nixie says, Suicide Squad playing on Series S with an X screen looks crispy.
Sanchez MTZ Gaming came on through. He saw the hype train rolling. And he just said, I got to buy a single ticket. That's right, a single bomb to the Splitters hype train. I got to be a part of this madness early Saturday morning. Oh, Sanchez MTZ Gaming. He got in the court and he just hit a little mid-range jumper with that single shot. We love it. Sanchez MTZ Gaming, welcome to the Splitters. Choo-choo, motherfuckers. Choo-choo. Let's go. Yobi's not done. Yobi said that 10 bomb was okay. I'm coming back because I forgot. I didn't drop my whole load. Pause.
Whoa.
I got a 2 for you. I got a 2 bomb to get this baby goal, down or up or whatever you want from 69, but we're going to keep it the same here on Splitters. That's right. So Yobi with the $2 says Horde of Horrors World Order. That's right. Bringing back a classic. Oh, not to be outdone at all. The one and only Fun Speculation, aka Matt.
The 5-bomb.
He dropped in. He was flying overhead and he said, "Oh, I see the Splitters hype train down there. I see they're headed for some woods. We got to clear them woods out. We got to make that tunnel that Pong was just talking about.
Not
so let me clear the way. Let me clear the way for y'all." And he drops a 5-bomb with an extra bag of coal. We are now at a Mach 3.0 early in the morning on Living Split Screen. That's right. Buckle up. Get those 4-point harnesses ready. We just added another car to this mile-long train thanks to the Mav, who drops 5 tickets for some lucky people to join us. Thank you, Mav. And the goal still remains 69. So enjoy it, y'all. Choo-choo, motherfuckers. Oh, man, it's too early. Listen, y'all, happy Saturday. I hope you're all having a great time. Steele and I are going to get down to business here. We do have to be done by 1:00, just so you know. I've got some things I do have to go take care of. So 1 Central time, maybe a little bit after, but we're going to start winding down by then, even with the technical problems, which we normally would just extend, obviously, as you guys all know, but I just can't today. But Steele and I have been enjoying a 5-rated game, according to some people.
Shout out to IGN. Yeah.
Shout out to IGN. Shout out to some others. So this week has been fun as hell. Again, Tekken 8, amazing. We talked about it last weekend. And then this week, of course, we got the digital deluxe editions of Suicide Squad. Steele has played much more than I have. Jasper has played much more than I have, but I've got about 11 hours into Suicide Squad, and I played solos, I played duos, I've played quads. I've kind of experienced it all in different ways. And this game is freaking just awesome. Just a blast to play. And Fun Speculation just isn't going to let it go. Fun Speculation isn't going to let it go. He said Mach 3.0. No, guys. Chat, listen up. Fun Speculation, a.k.a. Mav, rolls in here and he says, let's get this to Mach 3.25 because we're not going fast enough. I just cleared the way. We got a tunnel being built. Let's pump it up a little bit. Drop another bag of coal. Mav gets on the court with the easy 5 layup. 5 more people added to the Splitters, a new car to the back of the train, and we got the speed. So buckle up, everybody, because we don't want you flying out while we're traveling. Thank you, Mav. Appreciate you, brother. Goal's still 69. Out there, choo-choo motherfuckers. So Suicide Squad has, I don't know if we want to save it for a full conversation, if we just want to do it here, Steele, but
I mean, we could go. I mean, we're both playing the game, so I think it can be right roll into a conversation, and then we can kind of go from there. Since we're having a kind of weird show anyway already, why not just get into the crux of it, ladies and gentlemen? I don't know if you don't know who we are, but you're locked in with Living Split Screen. So let me get a quick intro in right here. I'm one of the hosts, Steel Rain, Mr. Live Raw UNCUT himself. Looks like I'm doing multiple shows now, but we shall see. Got a lot that is coming over the horizon, and hopefully you guys will be along for that journey. But right now, Living Split Screen, a non-console-centric platform talking about everything going on within the gaming industry. It's also the home of that RTS view, that's that real-time strategy, pulling ourselves out of the world, looking at the darker crevices of that map, and pulling those resources together so that we can not only build up our own foundation, but also that foundation to potentially reach the 3 billion gamers that Phil has always talked about. Also, we represent that ECP, that educated consumer perspective. All that means is we do not work in the industry. I'm not here to make it paint like I know how to build games. I know what game dev is like. None of that. I don't work for none of these corporations. We are just 2 guys who have a lot of professional experience within our own lives, and then we bring a lot of that knowledge here into our passion, our hobby, to have an overall discussion, not only with the chat, but to also just have an open discussion with each other and discuss what's going on within the gaming industry. But enough of me, Steel Rain. I gotta pass it off to my brother from another because he's about to drop bars on this Suicide Squad conversation that we're about to get into. And it is also Yobi. Man, we're gonna have to run a fade or something, bro. Like, you can't. We're gonna have to box, man. You can't just be coming in Saturday morning just dropping bombs like this, bro.
Dropping nukes.
Look,
he just nuked the show, everybody.
That's perfect. Let me pass it off to my brother from another, the uncanny gentleman himself, the X-Men that is not Cyclops, but he's definitely looking at some of these studio sideways of Jean Grey ends up looking like she does in Insomniac Studio, but enough of that. Pong. So, what's going on, brother, man?
That's a future conversation there, sir. And if you didn't notice, Steele just admitted that he's cheating on me with multiple shows now. So, this is what I'm doing
this, man. I had to, it's that get back. It's that get back. You know how that goes. You know it for some time,
Steele told me, promised me he was a one-show man, and here he is out here finding new people to hang out with, man.
They say, hey, if they're allowed to do it, I should be able to do it too, right?
I'm depressed. Nah, that's not how the relationship started, bro. You know who I was. You just promised me you were somebody different.
Here we go.
No, congratulations, Steele. For anybody who doesn't know what we're talking about, it was announced yesterday. Pixelated Echoes. That's right, a new show for Sundays with Steele and, of course, the other brother from another 3-bit combining forces to do something on Sundays, and it's going to be amazing. I can't wait to hear these two, have some conversations on Sundays. It's going to be special. So you guys go check out the post for that. Make sure you set those alarms and set those reminders for Pixelated Echoes on Sunday. At what time, Steele?
3 p.m. Eastern, so that'll be 2 p.m. Central for me. 2
p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Eastern Sundays. So another podcast to buckle up for, but let's get to the nuke that was just dropped. That's right. The ground was completely leveled as far as the eyes can see, chat, because the one and only legendary Yobi said Mach 3.25. Is that what I heard? I thought you guys were at least at a Mach 8. What is happening here? I can't let this stand after I just bombed and cleared the area, or Mav did. We're building a tunnel. The hype train is rolling. The Splitters hype train is reaching new towns every single weekend. So I've got to make sure the way is clear. So Yobi comes in with a legendary super chat of $200 and says hashtag peace, love, life, hashtag horde of wars. Thank you for existing, gents. You are all the change we want to see in this community. The gatekeepers of the gaming media is losing power, and can't wait to see folks like yourselves and other real ones take that place. Integrity and respect, Steel and Pong. Thank you. Love, much love and respect back to you, Yobi. That's right. Yobi with the $200 freaking nuke. And then Sith Lord member for 2 months says this is the best place to be on Saturday morning.
Thank you.
Sith, you yourself are a legend as well for your support, which you posting
every Saturday,
every Saturday, but he does it throughout the week for other shows. Like he is constantly out here updating people on what shows to find and where. Love you, Sith. Thank you for everything that you do. And Mav, member for 5 months, says Captain Boomerang MVP. I don't know about that. I tell you, when you lost your clothes and you were running around with boxer shorts, though, it was pretty fucking dope. And no, it wasn't Mav that lost his clothes running around in boxer shorts. It was Captain Boomerang in the game. Yeah. But anyways, so kind of did my intro real quick before we jump into Suicide Squad. I do also want to shout out Grand Blue, a fantasy relink. If you are an old school Japanese RPG, JRPG, anime fan, and you didn't like turn-based stuff, right? That turns you off. Hop into this game. It's action-based combat. This game is gorgeous. Now, I did obviously pick it up on PC because it's only on PlayStation and PC. Picked it up on PC, put it on the 4K screen, OLED, got it running at 4K, ultra settings. With anime, you don't even need that for a game, really. So, but this game is drop dead gorgeous. Like this, and it's fun, classic style, right? Again, right up front, opening scenes, got some major shit going down, jump you right into it. Some more stuff happens. You wind up in the world where you're going to be at. And when I wound up in the world, it was already beautiful in the beginning, that setting, and I'm not going to spoil stuff. But then when I wound up in the actual world still on land, because again, for people who don't know, there's stuff to do with skyboats in this game.
Okay.
When I wound up in the world and I took my first steps, I sat there and literally just panned around with the camera, because you guys all know I love old school anime. I love hand-drawn looking anime. And while I know this isn't hand-drawn, it is done so well that it looks like it is. You know when those backgrounds still look like somebody painted the background? Yeah. That's what you get.
That's how Elden Ring looks.
Yes. And the fidelity in this game is just phenomenal. The animations of the characters, the voice acting. Now, I was a little disappointed, I'm not going to lie, that they didn't have Japanese as an option in this one. It was English only. But the English voice actors so far, really damn good. And the writing's really good so far. Again, nothing groundbreaking, but we're talking about top tier kind of JRPG style, right? It's very well done. Enjoying all the characters. Haven't found an annoying one yet, which will happen sometimes in JRPGs where you go,
of course.
God, that voice grates on me. Like, oh God, you kind of, not so far. Just an awesome game. And the world is set up exactly like the classic style where it's not open world, but you do have little paths that you can find. And then if you go and find one of those paths, you know what you're going to get. You're going to get a treasure chest, or you're going to get something resource wise to collect at the end of it. And it's not going to be way off the beaten path. It's just going to be a nice little short side detour. And it's either going to lead you back to the main path, or it's a short little backtrack to the main path. It's set up just like that, Steel. I knew exactly what I was getting into the minute I started walking around. I'm like, oh, look at that over there. I bet you I can jump up there and get on that little platform up there. And I bet you there's a treasure chest up there. Instantaneously. Sure enough, there's my treasure chest. And I'm like, yes, let's go.
That's fire.
But really, and the combat so far, I don't have any complex stuff yet. Obviously, just starting out. But just the combat feels super good. It's super tight. Loving just the effects on screen and some of the mechanics that they have in play, but it's got lock on. It's got all the stuff that you come to expect. It's got magic. It's got weapon wielding. It's got all of that kind of stuff. And then of course they've got the combos with your teammates as you guys power up. All that stuff is in this game. And it looks really awesome. Each individual character, special moves, all that kind of stuff look great on the screen. Feel really good. Fought, a couple bosses, if you want to call them bosses already, that they always give you up front with a couple bigger dudes that obviously you get help to finish off or whatever else. It's not like a full battle, but you get to fight them. Just awesome. The first town I walked into, absolutely mesmerizing. I'll probably make a post here today or tomorrow with some screenshots and shit. But yeah, I just got to shout out Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. If you're looking for that style game, jump into this game. I know the reviews haven't been necessarily 90s. Like we've gotten used to in 2024 all of a sudden, but definitely one to keep your eye on and pick up. And again, you can do co-op later in the game as you open it up.
Yes.
There is co-op aspects, which you'll see me and Steel at some point probably streaming on this channel for y'all. So, but the other game, Steel, let's get into the Suicide Squad stuff here.
Let's do it.
Quick. Suicide Squad. I will start and then I'll let Steel come in because Steel has experienced a lot more than even I have in this game. So I'll let him kind of add in because he's got a unique perspective too, on this game as far as somebody who is not necessarily a DC fan, right? But
I'm not a DC fan at all. Yeah. I'm not even a comic book fan like that. Outside of Batman, I have zero interest in DC like that. Exactly. Superman I think is overrated and he's a cool character, and I get that. But because he is the strongest character in that universe, I've always had like this, it's Superman. And I get more upset about over the years. I've gotten more salty about Superman not beating people he's supposed to beat. Like there's always some story related. Oh, he can't beat him because he doesn't have enough sun this day.
They had to do that.
Come on. Oh, Lex Luthor is just the nicest with the kryptonite all of a sudden. I guess. And it all they made it make sense. And I'm also one of those people who haven't watched Smallville, and people say that gives a lot of context. Well, some of the better context for Superman. I think Superman is overrated, personally. But again, you're talking to somebody who thinks Batman is a better character than Superman is. That's just me. So.
Let's see here. Scott Gamer Dude jumps in real here quick too with an easy 5 bomb. Scott said, let's go, get out of court. Let me show you how to do this layup. Thank you, Scott Gamer Dude. Again, we don't discriminate here between super chats or memberships or anything like that. Again, in all seriousness, it's never expected and always appreciated. You guys are absolutely insane when you come through here on Saturdays. Absolutely. We love you. But Scott Gamer Dude jumped in here with the $5 super chat and says, question about Suicide Squad. I played through the tutorial of each character. Controls were awesome. Once game started, the story part, and I'm assuming you meant aiming was awful. The story part aiming was awful.
The one thing that I would say about the aiming of Suicide Squad, it is very heavy aim assist. I'm gonna make this recommendation, and you guys run with it with what you feel best. For the input dead zones, I would definitely make sure that you put them down to 0 for your left and right stick, and then adjust them up from there. Like for an example, my left stick is currently on like 5 or 10, and then my right stick is on about the same. That's where it felt good before it started like drifting or whatever the case. The characters moved on their own. And that's even without my controller having any drift like that for real. The other thing too about the aiming is I would turn your regular aim up higher. So like for an example, my default aim is at about a 90. And then my default sensitivity is at about a 90. And then when I'm aiming, it's at about a 40, right? So it moves much slower than it does when I'm like looking around in the world. What I found is when you're looking around, especially for the counter shots, because those are the ones where you really got to kind of spin, be on the swivel for, and get them off, because they do good damage, especially on snipers and stuff further as you get further into the game, because they do good damage. You want to use your default camera, your just standard camera, and then aim kind of at the last second, because the auto aim is so strong in this game. You can do that, and it will always put you directly on the marker of an enemy. The other thing that you could do too, now this could just be me because I tend to be a little bit more aggressive. Scott, if there was a vast difference between what you experienced in the tutorial versus what you got in the story mode, I don't know what that's about, because mine has been consistent all the way through. So if you're just saying it's been completely different, going from tutorial to the game, I don't know what's up with that. It shouldn't be vastly different, because I know I changed it in the beginning and it's been kind of fluid since then. I know there's a lot more enemies and stuff going on, makes it kind of harder to aim. But the other recommendation I was going to make was, and it could just be me, my play style with all the characters that I use, you can also be a little bit more aggressive. You kind of have to be anyway to get shields back, because you got to shoot enemies on their legs, because that's how they entice you to get your shields and stuff back. And Scott, I am on PC, but I'm playing with a controller. So yeah, and it could be a bug on console. I haven't seen anybody else talk about that, but definitely, I would definitely look into it and see if there is a bug or something like that happening. Because I didn't get anything like that. But I was gonna say, get up and close and personal with some of these enemies, because the other thing, when you melee them and then aim, it automatically puts you right there. You don't have to put any additional input. As soon as you melee, it magnetizes as soon as you press the left trigger to the enemy that you just meleeed. So keep that in mind also. Just little tricks and stuff right there.
Yeah. Just little stuff. Good question there, Scott. Because again, that stuff pops up, and again, sometimes, like Steele said, I haven't seen anybody talking about the aiming at all, as far as that goes. So maybe it is just something, a bug or something, or on your end where you got to get adjusted a little bit to make it feel better, because I didn't see any difference. Now, I didn't play with any of my settings like Steele. Steele always plays with his those types of settings. I don't unless I feel like I have a problem, like I did in Call of Duty when it first came out. Modern Warfare 3, I had some problems, so I asked Steel. Steel gave me some adjustments to make. I made some adjustments, and it felt a lot better than Suicide Squad playing with Harley as my main. I haven't found any difference between the tutorial and what I got into in the game. I put, again, about 11 hours into this game. Steel's got a lot more than I do, but I got about 11 hours in. So I played enough of it I would have noticed that. I personally wasn't having that experience, and I'm on PC as well, playing with a controller. But Suicide Squad, the conversation around this is crazy. We've been talking about this week. This conversation, we've been talking, obviously Mav and I on PM and the PM last night on Xbox Ultimate, but Steel and I, and Jasper and Mav all in party chat, Steel and I in party chat in the DMs. A lot of conversation about the talk going around, and now we're starting getting some of the official reviews out there, right? The Metascore is like a 61 right now, or 63, something like that. IGN just dropped theirs yesterday as a 5. And no, it wasn't Destin that did that review officially. No, it was another person. But a 5. I
don't think it's a 5. It's definitely not a 5.
Listen, it's nowhere near a 5. Again, it's all opinion. Throw whatever score you want at it. But your scores are meaningless nowadays because there's no rhyme or reason for the numbers you give games. Okay. Again, a 5 back in the day would have been borderline broken game in most instances, right? Or just absolutely awful, right? It could have been still performing really well and played really well, but it was just an awful game overall. I saw 5s back in the day that way. When you get down below 5, that's an absolutely, you get into unplayable or massive problems, massive bugs.
Right.
This game here, whether you like the story, whether you agree with the premise, whether you like looter shooters or not, anything you want to talk about this game, the absolute bottom this game should be is a 6 or above, right? From the simple fact of, if you hate everything about this game, it should automatically get a 6, in my opinion, for being one of the most optimized, well-polished, as far as all the mechanics working right, all that kind of stuff type game. Now, again, it's an opinion. I don't care. I'm just saying that's where I start at. This is like a baseline 6. From there, it just goes up, because then you got to start judging what the game is. Now, the problem being is we're running into, once again, a situation, and we talked about this last week a little bit too, Steel, because we saw some of the early comments. This is another instance where a game is being judged by what it isn't and what people wanted it to be versus what the game actually is. And if you don't believe me, go read the reviews and read the language that is being used. Okay? A lot of people are upset that this is not the Rocksteady game that they originally thought.
I would say most people who are vocal, because there's some points that I'm going to bring up when you pass it off to me, that the community is saying otherwise. The gamers are saying otherwise. So, but anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No, because that's a fact. The point being is there are valid criticisms. No game is perfect. Sure. There's certainly things that if were really bothering me, I could sit here and probably call out about this game. No game can be made exactly the way that I would want to see it made or perform. Again, there's just, that happens as anybody who's played enough games, you get those types of opinions. But I don't play games constantly thinking about, I would have done this or I would have done that, or this is not the right way to do this, blah, blah. I play it for what it is. And if I'm having fun, number one, that's my highest priority. Other things do come into play. Obviously, can't have game-breaking bugs. Mechanics have to make sense. It has to work. All of it has to feel good together. Like, there's a lot in there. But if I'm having fun, that's my number one priority. And you guys are going to hear me talk a lot about this in 2024, because I'm going to counter the narrative currently going around where it seems a whole lot of people don't remember that gaming was about, and it always has been about, and should always be about, having fun, whether that's solo, whether that's co-op, whatever.
Maybe not, I guess.
You don't have to like the game. I'm not telling you have to buy the game. I'm not telling you that you have to agree. But the fact is that you can't sit there and constantly, and what I'm talking about, say your piece and move on about a game that you have zero interest in or that isn't for you. But this constant piling, this dog piling, pouring gasoline over, and I'm mainly talking about the bigger media outlets and the reviewers and the people who have a lot of influence, quote unquote, the constant dog piling on something nonstop because you don't like it. Go find something you enjoy and start talking about it. Fuck this shit about just constantly talking about everything you hate versus everything that you love. So I'm going to be out here talking about everything that I love. Not to say that I won't be out here criticizing when there needs to be criticism.
Oh, yeah.
I'm certainly going to be focusing on in 2024 all the. So Suicide Squad from top to bottom is an absolute blast game. Am I talking about game of the year? No, I'm not talking about game of the year. Okay, I'm not talking about game of the year.
Yeah, I'm not going to put it in the game of the year, but man, those cutscenes are nice.
Right. But what I am going to say is that this game, from the gameplay mechanics, from the graphics, from the optimization, from the performance, from the story, from the acting, all of that is good to great. All of it, in my opinion, is good to great in all those categories. This is a looter shooter. People seem to have forgotten that Rocksteady never hid the fact that this was going to be a looter shooter. They never hid the fact this was going to be a games as a service. That's what this game is. That's how this game is built, but it's not in your face like we've seen in the past. Some people are claiming it's in your face. It's not in your face outside of the looter aspect, as you can see on screen as Steele's playing here. You get your loot. You get your loot drops when you complete a mission, and then you're back into the gameplay. That's the only time you really notice it. And yes, you pick up loot off the ground too. Some of the enemies drop loot for you to pick up and that kind of stuff. It's a looter shooter. Side missions. This isn't going to be The Witcher 3. Okay? This is not going to be a Skyrim or a Starfield. This is a looter shooter. The idea of side missions and the ideas of the enemies are to run through time and time again to get your experience, to power up your character, and to get some freaking new loot. That's what looter shooters are. Diablo is repetitive. It's called the grind. It's called the grind.
Talk about a lack of enemy variety.
This game is that. I love looter shooters. What I've experienced so far in Suicide Squad is just a game that Rocksteady put their heart and soul into, even if it wasn't the game that they originally planned, even if it's centered around characters that a lot of people out there could care less about or want to play, including myself outside of Harley. And they took me as a non-comic book super fan nowadays. Again, back in the day I was, but nowadays I'm not. Could care less about superheroes per se. They took me, who looked at this game and said, looter shooter, I'm in. I like what I'm seeing. The gunplay is great. That's what sold me first. They took that and then dropped me into a story with writing and acting that is simply some of the best that I've seen in a long time overall. And again, if you don't agree, that's fine. I don't agree with the people that think The Last of Us 2 story is fantastic, right? We already know this. I don't go around talking to all those people. I don't go around telling them they should hate the game, how trash it is. I don't do none of that. It just doesn't exist for me. So I understand if you don't like this, that is fine with me. But I'm here to tell you, I got sucked into the story and I actually care about Deadshot, King Shark, and Boomerang. I actually care about those characters that I had zero interest in, that I had no idea. Like, I watched the Suicide Squad movies, so I've kind of seen them before, but I watched that as purely entertainment. I wasn't like into it. Like, it wasn't a thing. This story is better than any of the Suicide Squad movies. This story's got to be one of the best comic book stories that I have experienced personally. They write comedy is one of the hardest things in the world to pull off. Ask any comedian, whether it's stand-up, whether it's acting, whether it's writing. Comedy is hard to pull off because comedy is so subjective. And sometimes if you don't get it right, it's cringe, as the kids like to say these days. I thought I was going to get a lot of cringe from this game. I was prepared for the one-liners to be cheesy, to be cringy, and I thought I was going to be like, oh man, really? Opposite. 95% of the one-liners, I'm talking about the real one-liners that they're just dropping randomly, are absolutely freaking acted and written top-notch. Like, laugh out loud. We were sitting in party chat, dead quiet during the cutscenes, and we were all giggling and laughing at certain parts of the writing. That's how good this is. And the story has comedy, but then they lean in to the irreverence of the Suicide Squad. They lean into who these people are and who they would be if they were actually on this side of the, we're going to go kill the Justice League.
Yep.
There's not going to be respect. There's not going to be, these people have been beaten down time and time again by the superheroes. This is revenge time, folks. They lean into that, and this game is brutal. And when I mean brutal, I mean like stopping playing the game going, wow, really? That's how brutal at times it is. Bloody, like this is an adult, mature game at the end of the day. I absolutely love what I've experienced here. Again, the gunplay, the traversal is extra special still, in my opinion.
I agree.
Again, there is a learning curve to the traversal.
Oh, yeah.
You can pick it up. Tutorial does a great job showing you the different traversal between the characters. Obviously, most people are going to have a mains. Each character's traversal is vastly different from the other one.
Different, yeah.
And takes a whole new learning curve to learn. They do a good job introducing you to it, but until you are actually playing the game for a couple hours, you're going to, and even after that point, there are going to be points where you miss something that you thought you should have pulled off, but you're just going to miss a button press because it's easy to pick up. But again, it's one of those games that's harder to master. But as you play the game and you get more comfortable and it becomes more second nature, the amount of different things that you can pull off with the traversal, as far as getting around the map, getting around when you're in a battle and getting the advantage on the enemies, not too many games do it this way. Again, verticality, like all of it is there where you could take advantage. Oh, you know, a little too crowded of enemies down there. Your shields are low. Oh, just 2 seconds. You're up to a very high point that you can take advantage of and be shooting down on enemies, right? That's what this game does for you. And it works extremely well. It feels really good. Again, when you're pulling off, I pulled off my first 50 combo the other night. When you get to that point, it feels awesome.
And like you do more damage. You do way more damage when you get your combo up too.
When you get your combos up and when you start getting your skills, which of course there's skill trees, and the skill trees are set up like Borderlands. Steel called that out early when we were playing. It's set up like Borderlands 3. If you remember the Borderlands 3 skill trees with the separate sections and you kind of pick and choose, you go through each section, but you get one per section, right? It's not random, it's in a row. So you're always constantly deciding on a new skill out of one of the trees when you level up. But when you start opening up those skills, you can tell a difference. And then they add all these special effects, and your specials feel amazing, at least for Harley. As my main, she's got this one where I roll up on somebody and I push X and A, and all of a sudden she goes into this whole cutscene sequence where she pulls out her bat or her hammer, whatever melee weapon I have. She can hit him in the nuts. She can hit him in the head, but she drops a grenade on top of them or underneath them or in their mouth or whatever the case may be while she's doing all this. And it does massive damage, right? It's so much fun. She's got another one. She drops out of the sky and hits somebody and absolutely explodes them. And when I've got my combos up, all of a sudden there's Joker ha 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 laughter printed everywhere on my screen across the environment.
And I can see it. You can, the teammates can see it.
Everybody can see it. This game, again, not talking game of the year here. Okay, I'm not talking game of the year. But what I'm saying is this game, for me, is one of the best games that I've played in this kind of genre in a long time. I don't know what the end game is going to be like yet, Steele's looked it up. Steele's gotten to that point. Jasper's gotten that point. Unfortunately, Jasper's endgame seems to be bugged right now.
Apparently, I thought it was an endgame before I actually was.
Yeah, it's not. Oh, okay. So you're not quite.
I just beat the game. I literally just beat the game. Yeah.
So endgame always determines looter shooters in a lot of ways as far as longevity goes, right? But I'm going to say, however long it takes me to actually get through the story and get to the end game, I'm not going to be sad that I spent money day one on this game. I'm not going to regret the fact that I picked up this game, the digital deluxe edition, early on. I also can tell you, even if the end game doesn't live up or doesn't keep me interested, when they drop new characters, like they're going to drop the Joker, I'm coming back to play through as that character. That's how much I'm enjoying the story, how much I'm enjoying the world. The world is absolutely beautiful. Rocksteady did not slack making this game. They put everything they had into this game. I don't care what people want to try to compare with Batman Arkham. I don't care any of that nonsense. This game is quality from top to bottom. They had a plan for it, whether you agree with that plan or not. Again, I'm not going to fight you on it, but what I'm going to say is they had a plan, and this was an experienced studio putting that plan into action. You could see how much better it is overall in a package versus a lot of the games of service looter shooters that we get nowadays. They absolutely knew what they were doing here. Again, your opinion is your opinion about the execution and about what you get out of it. But for me, one of the best damn looter shooters to come out in a while, right? One of the most fun and interesting stories that I've played in a long ass time, right? Hands down, this type of story. Again, I don't usually get into them. I'm literally sucked in. Where we left off the other night while we were playing 4-player co-op, I was like, I sat back and I was like, you got to be kidding me right now. Really? This just happened right now? So hands down, easy 9 for me right now, Steve.
Oh, damn. Okay. That's even higher than I was anticipating from you.
Yeah, we're talking 8. We're high 8s to a 9 right now on this game for how much I'm actually enjoying it and loving it. I want to see this through. I want to play it. Like I said, I'll be coming back for the new characters because with the digital deluxe, you get the first season's battle pass. I'll be coming for all of that. I really love this game, Steel. Steel, give me your thoughts now. Somebody who's played more than I have, somebody who obviously, just in general, like superhero genre much more than I do overall in a lot of ways. What do you think about this game? What has it given you, brother?
All right, so Suicide Squad killed the Justice League. Man, what an interesting game to see the amount of ups and downs in people's opinions about this. Now I have to be very careful about, well, one, giving spoilers, but two, also trying to write off people's opinions, right? Because at the end of the day, that's their opinion, that's their opinion. I do want to preemptively say this, though. I do feel like people were not playing this game. I feel like people were playing the game to find reasons to dislike it. I don't understand the ideology behind that. Rocksteady told you, especially for this, first, for the people that wanted it to be a Batman game or are mad that it's not a Batman game, you had 3 games of pure heat that Rocksteady was able to put out. Pure fire. From Asylum to Night. Great story, great gameplay, and it only progressively got better over time. People, matter of fact, Arkham Knight released broken, especially on PC. Matter of fact, there were also other issues in Arkham Knight that existed day one that this game does not have. And it's a multiplayer, then this is a multiplayer game versus a single player game. Batman had his trilogy, or he technically had 4 games if you include Origins. So he had 4 games, and Origins was another game that people said wasn't as great or whatever else the case might be. It was also made by a different studio, but then people came back years later and said, you know what? I think Origins was actually pretty decent. Oh, really? Okay. So Rocksteady already came out and said, hey, this is the game that we're making. It is going to be within the same universe, but this is going to be focused on the Suicide Squad. So with that in mind, it already, for me, as somebody who played Arkham Knight and then went and played Asylum City, I was already good with that, right? Because you have to continue the story somehow. And I looked up some things to remind me what happened to Batman, whatever. The number one thing that I have to get people to, well, I don't have to, but that I want people to pay attention to is that this is the Suicide Squad. And for better or for worse, whether, Vandal, I see you speak to this all the time, for better or for worse, these characters outside of Harley Quinn, which I can also argue is still a ditz. She has not been the smartest character in the existence of Batman. She is underneath the Joker for a reason. She's not even one of the first people that you really think of. People wanted Harley back because they wanted somebody to that was sexy to look at, which I get. And some people are mad, oh, they covered her more up, she's not showing cleavage this time. She had tighter clothes on in the other games. So people can't grow? So characters can't develop over time? Have y'all not paid attention to her story arc throughout those games also?
And they're also going to sell you. They're going to sell you some costumes too.
And of course they are. Why wouldn't they? Right? So it's one of those things to where on that side of it, I also want to add the Suicide Squad. I don't care who tells me. The Suicide Squad is the most irrelevant squad of characters that I have ever heard of. Outside of Harley Quinn, none of these other characters matter. Deadshot, sure, he has a background and all that, but he's nothing in comparison to what can I think of its fucking name right now? It's freaking always right there. Slade, what's his freaking name, man? Deathstroke, there you go. Deadshot and then Deathstroke. I always thought that.
They actually had a joke in the game about that.
They did. They did. I thought that was hilarious.
That was awesome,
of course not. Anyway. But he is nothing in comparison to Deathstroke, as at least per my understanding. For Rocksteady to make me care about a cast of characters that there have been 3 movies.
Misfits.
Idris Elba, even in the most recent movie, because he was Deadshot, I believe, instead of Will Smith, he took over that role. Even he couldn't make the movie relevant enough for me. I thought every single Suicide, I only watched the most recent one, I'll be honest, but the most recent one, all of them have been extremely mediocre. Vandal says, what? None of them matter? They've only been around for X amount of years. Sure, Vandal, I get that. But in comparison to all the other characters within that universe, they are not as relevant as villains as some of the other villains like Scarecrow, like Joker, like Mr. Freeze, like Bane. Like they are nothing. Lex Luthor, they are nothing in comparison. Matter of fact, that's the reason the game always touches on that. Y'all are a bunch of misfits. Y'all are nothing. They continuously hit that on the head to let you know this should not be happening. Matter of fact, now this is not I'm not going to give you a spoiler, but even towards the end of the game, it solidifies the fact that this should not be happening. But that's what makes this game unique. And I don't think that it's a spoiler to also let you know that there are also multiversal things that are going to be happening in this game. Yep. Whether you saw that from the DLC leaks for the Joker or whatever the case, and I get if you don't like that version of Joker, I hear you. I don't like that version of Joker either. I feel like they went way too over. That's what gave him the most millennial look or new age look that you could have gave a Joker. But guess what? He doesn't have to be the Joker that I'm familiar with, because one, Mark Hamill said he's not coming back to play Joker without Kevin Conroy. One. So if you're not going to get that, and Joker just had his story in the last in the games that y'all just talk about, that y'all go back to. So I'm comfortable with some other dude from some different timeline coming in to take his place as the Joker. Now I get to play as him. Now they got to make him fun. It's up to Rocksteady to make that an enjoyable experience. Overall, Suicide Squad for me was a game that I was not anticipating for it to be as good as it was. Although I played the game preview, I was in the closed beta and all of that, it still ended up being a more refined game up front and towards in my totality of my experience than I was anticipating. Nick says part of the backlash is the same reason the Marvel stuff getting backlash, the Sweet Baby Inc. controversy. But the thing that people are saying about Sweet Baby Inc., like, oh, they made the script more woke. Where? If Sweet Baby is really that bad, where did they make it more woke in the story? Because honestly, this story doesn't take itself as seriously and does not mind pushing the boundary in comparison to other games that have come out, in comparison to Avengers, in comparison to, what's the other hero game that came out recently? Can't remember of it. But Tim, Sweet Baby Inc. is apparently a company that goes through and they refine the script and everything, and they try to make it as people say
socially acceptable.
Yeah, politically correct, socially acceptable as possible.
Yes.
And Vandal, I probably have seen Superman versus the Elite. It's not going to make me care about Superman more or less. Superman is who he is. I don't think Superman has any excuse to be any of that. I get that there's a human side of it and all that good stuff. He's not Batman to me. He's not. I just don't have that. You know what I mean? At least for that character. I get where you're coming from. But anyway, for me, to put the Suicide Squad in a situation to where they have to defeat the Justice League, and it's literally in the title of the game, I think they did all the right things to make this as approachable as possible, and it makes sense. Especially how you approach the hero battles, and all those good things. Again, I don't want to give too much away.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
As far as gameplay goes, I've seen people talk about, oh, the gameplay is repetitive. Oh, it's this, it's that. There's no variety. You get different guns and stuff like that. It doesn't really feel like you're improving. I was listening to Kind of Funny yesterday and them talking about it, and they were like, oh, well, the game's a 2 out of 5 and it didn't do these things, or I played through the game and even played some end game and it felt like it was just a repetitive game and it was doing the same things over and over and over again. I wasn't getting any better and I was just plowing through the hard content. And I didn't really feel like I needed to improve or any of that good stuff. Okay, so you didn't level up your skill tree. You didn't get it. You used the same guns that you got from the very beginning of the game, which, as somebody who's played the game, I've died multiple times, lost lives, and I try not to do that. Right?
Everybody know we're playing on hard too, right?
I am playing on hard.
Because normal and we all are, because
we
normal
all
and
are.
easy are.
I feel like they're cakewalk. Yeah, I feel like they're.
I feel like the reviewers played it on easy,
even hard. Even hard sometimes, especially in co-op, can feel a little bit, but you still have your moments if you're not paying attention. You get too comfortable, take too much damage, enemies get on top of you, all that good stuff. But anyway, so again, nonetheless, that's how Greg and them felt over it. Kind of Funny about the game. Great. I do not agree that the game is extremely repetitive, especially if you haven't put at least 20 hours into this game. I'm not listening to you say that it's repetitive. I'm not listening to you say that the story is bland. I'm not listening to any of that. And look, you can beat the game however fast that you want to. It took me 30 hours to beat the game, start to finish. And that's me taking away time of us playing in co-op. 30 hours. People said it took 10 hours. And that was with me just playing the game for what it was. Maybe I'll do a mission, and maybe I'll want to do some extra side missions, because the side missions, which people also leave out, give you upgrades. And what these upgrades do during this time, because people are like, oh, I don't like the fact that during certain events they make you, oh, you gotta throw grenades only. These enemies only take damage when you throw grenades. Oh, these enemies only take damage if you do this. Oh, these enemies only, like, they're complaining about like this is a problem. And look, I hear you if you just want to run through stuff and do whatever you want. I get you. But the game is also trying to teach you the base fundamentals of the game in the first 10 to 15 hours. Every side mission that you do is helping you understand the concept of the game, because there's no way the first time that you try that thing out that, yep, you got it perfect. You're going to hit it every time from that point forward. There's times that I even forget that I got grenades still. There's times that I forget about the counter shot thing because I get so caught up moving around, shooting, and doing all this other stuff. Like, it just... The other thing, too, was the point of there's just a lot of noise going on screen. Okay, so you don't want detail in your game. So you just want it to be bland. So when you shoot something, you just want it to kill over and die. There should be no response. It should be bland. It shouldn't be colorful. It shouldn't play into all the elements of the Suicide Squad that they're trying to play into. This game does not take itself overly serious. Nope. This game is exactly what it is. It is a villain game. Mm-hmm. In very early, within the first 5 hours of the game, 2 hours of the game, I would say, it establishes the fact that this is not the game or hero type game that you're used to.
Right.
We are going to tread some waters that you may not be comfortable with. We're going to approach some things that you haven't really experienced up to this point. Because let's be frank, outside of Teen Titans, at least in my experience, when's the last time that y'all got content that really displayed the villains having the upper hand over the heroes? And there wasn't some extra force involved. Like in this example, we have Brainiac, which from what I recall about Brainiac, he has a pretty damn hostile force from what I know about DC.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, I also feel like people are underplaying Brainiac. So like, what was getting me the whole time was like, how did Brainiac even do this? And now, that is one complaint that I have, is that they, as someone who has beat the game, I don't like the fact that they don't at least give you something to establish how this happened.
Okay.
I would have liked to see that.
Right.
They do not cover this they do not cover that in this game. It just makes it makes it feel like he just came down and just off rip.
Instantaneous.
It was just instantaneous, happened out of nowhere. That's how it comes across. Now, I stopped thinking about that when they introduce some additional things and they kind of flip the script on its head. You're like, oh, okay. I think they got some interesting things that could happen within the, oh, so now we got to go do this now. Okay, so, now this is the end game. Oh, okay. Seeing what, again, I don't think this is a spoiler, but you fight Brainiac at the end of the game. It's not going to be the first time you fight him. It's a looter shooter.
Right.
Now, I like what they did with when you fought him, and it gave me an idea of what they're going to do with the rest of the heroes, right? The hero battles that you experienced during the game, they are going to bring some of those back. So which is something I like to see, because at least that lets me know not exactly the same. It is quite different. Like there's a Flash fight. Again, I don't think that's a spoiler. Everybody saw that. Flash was a bad guy. You're obviously going to fight him. There's a Flash fight that may or may not end up happening later, right? With a different character. So with that taken into consideration, if they're going to do that and continuously not take themselves overly serious, but stick within the lines of what they've created with this universe, I think there's a lot of potential here. Not only that, but for me, I think there's even potential for there to be a Batman game, single player, what people are looking for, because the one thing I do think that people have to understand is just because we're getting the villain side of the story, what we always traditionally gotten. If the villains get any form of leeway, if they get any form of time to have for themselves, it's like the light and the dark side. There has to be gray, or there has to be the opposite side to come in and balance things back out. I do think that there at some point, maybe at the end of this game, because this just can't keep going on this way unless they keep this down a different timeline or whatever they want to do, which I guess they would kind of have to now with how they've portrayed it, where we can get a Batman Beyond the game, right? A more futuristic Batman, where maybe he's being taught by an older Batman, right? That is a possibility in this game. Geezer, fantastic point. AI is something that I always speak to in games. So like, the AI is just, in this game, the AI is pretty damn good. especially on hard. The AI will shoot at you. If you don't look at them in time to get those counter shots off, you will get shot in the back. They are aggressive, and yes, they move a lot. Yep. And yes, can you feel overpowered in situations? Sure. When you get into the rhythm of it all, sure. But this isn't where the difficulty is supposed to be at. Just like Diablo, I could say that Diablo was an easy ass game. I'm pretty sure us as a team who played Diablo day one could have said, you know what? The weakest part of this game was too easy.
Sure. That's the way it's set up. Because you're supposed to replay.
But could you say that when we went into World Tier 3 for the first time?
No. Get your ass kicked.
World Tier 4 for the first time?
Got your ass kicked.
And I think this is going to be very similar to what is going on here.
Because there's more levels that open up after you beat the game.
There are additional levels that open up at the end of the game. Not only that, there's additional missions that you can do too. Yes. If people want to hone in on the fact that, it's similar missions, you got to do this, you got to do that, you know, it's all very samey, the enemy types. Please, I need you to bring up the Division in the conversation, Diablo in the conversation, Destiny in the conversation. Please bring up Destiny in the conversation. Because Destiny has done nothing but recycle content, recycle enemies for 20 years, it feels like. It hasn't been that long that Destiny's been out. But that is the way that it feels. For over a decade, they've been doing this. And Nix, you bring up an excellent point. What is also funny is I think that this game is, again, exposing the game reviewers for what they are. How I always speak to you, the whole point of being a reviewer is so that you can be subjective versus being objective. Because with subjectivity, you can look at the totality of the experience. Not, I just didn't like these things, and because of these things, it's just not where it should be, and it's a bad game. On Steam right now, this game has 1,440 reviews. It just released yesterday, technically. That's something else I want to hit on really quickly. People were talking about the servers and stuff being down. A day before, the game actually went to early access. Look, time zones, all that stuff, we can argue about the minutia of it all. The servers weren't, early access hadn't technically existed yet. It was just starting. And people are already writing, Suicide Squad's releasing broken. They can't handle the server capacity. How can they not have it ready? Nobody can play day one. You paid $100 for something you can't play. I've been playing since Tuesday. Mm-hmm. I've been playing since early access. Yeah. Since that server issue that they had, I haven't had a single issue since. So where are the reviews about, where are the articles about that? Rocksteady turned around, boom, less than 12 hours later, servers are good to go. Less than 6 hours later, servers are good, everybody's playing. Hey, I didn't see that. Them posting the end of the game, shout to IGN. Again, spoilers, they can do whatever they want. But we talk about this all the time when new games come out. How, hey, try not to spoil it, don't, whatever. I don't care who you are. The game just came out. And to prove a point or to be part of a conversation, because people, I'm not going to get into the spoiler here. Some of y'all probably saw it. But just because one of your favorite heroes die in a game that's called Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, and you're pulling that out as, they can't tell a good story? Okay. And the thing about IGN that is a problem for me is that regardless, we have to speak to them, because even on Metacritic, they are a top-rated critic. Their scores
and their reviewer said the story was good still. Their reviewer said the story was good. But it's a 5 out of 10. Their headlines, it doesn't. When you read their headlines or their quotes from the review, it's not a 5. Again, I'm not saying it's a 10.
No, it's not.
I don't even care if you don't give it a 9 or an 8. If you gave it a 7, I'd be like, okay,
I get it. I can hear that.
It hit all the way. It just didn't hit all the way.
Looters aren't for everybody. That's the other thing. Shooters are not for everybody.
No, not at all. But it's weird when you see the reviews nowadays and they write and they talk about the stuff that they enjoyed so much out of it. And then they end the whole article with a paragraph about how, yeah, but it just didn't hit overall and it was a mixed bag 5. Again, it's just weird to me that where the scores are at and what they give now. It's all random. It just feels like it's random. It feels like, the numbers are agenda based because they know that they affect the Metacritic score one way or the other. And I think that they use it to punish or to reward certain games. And I think that this is one of those games that was chosen very early on because it wasn't what everybody wanted from Rocksteady, because nobody asked for a looter shooter from Rocksteady, because nobody asked to kill their heroes, because nobody wanted any part of this, that they chose this game to be the one that the dogpile on. And even if they found themselves enjoying it, Steel, even if they found the fact that this game is quality when it comes to performance, when it comes to graphics,
nobody's talking about that.
People talk about it, right? They can't, because the game itself speaks for itself, and everybody can see it.
But they talk about that any other time, though, Paul. That's what they said in Starfield, right?
Correct. But that's, because they had the narrative on their side that they could call it dated, and all of a sudden it was dated, so they could run with that word over and over again. But in this one, this looks like a modern game. This looks like a current day game to anybody's eyes as far as what we get from, again, let's go back to Guardians of the Galaxy, a beloved game, right? A game that a lot of people were down on. It came out, blew people away, and all of a sudden it became a darling, right? It became a darling because people love the characters, people love the writing. I would say that this writing is definitely on par from what I played at Guardians of the Heroes. And some people
Guardians of the Galaxy,
Guardians
I think it's even better than that.
Guardians of the Galaxy. I didn't play enough of Guardians of the Galaxy, but I'm just saying, even for people who want to detract from this game, you have to say that this story and the writing, unless you absolutely hate the idea, so you're just not going to give it any credit. Again, that's fine. But the facts are, if you do enjoy it, you got to say that the writing's up with there. And to Steele's point, it might be even better than Guardians of the Galaxy. And that is always talked about as one of the best written superhero games of all time, right? So there's so much here that is, we didn't even talk about Steel, full day, night cycle, dynamic weather thrown in here, all the little details. We were sitting there talking about the rain droplets running down their faces and their armor and how good it looked. Like all the little stuff that you would expect from a veteran team like Rocksteady is in here. Like all of that stuff. Again, they didn't skimp on this game.
No,
they by no means skipped on this game whatsoever.
I don't think so.
The weapons are all well designed, well crafted. If you're into loot, you know that some looter shooters, you'll pick up an axe plus 10 and it looks exactly like the same base axe that you started with, right? In this game, no. There's differences to all these weapons, and they are highly detailed with like little lighting effects and all this little stuff. Again, they put their heart and soul into this game, whether you like it or not. This game is quality, flat out quality, right? This is absolutely that. And I think that a lot of people are just so wrapped up in their feelings over this game and have chosen this game to be the one that they're going to shit on, that they can't get past that. And they can't see that, again, I'm not saying you have to love it. I'm not saying that you have to give it the highest score. I'm not saying any of that, but I'm just saying it's not getting a fair shot. And now that the gamers are getting their hands on it, and certainly, I know, of course, WB and Rocksteady would love to see more concurrent players on Steam than they're currently getting. They hit a high of like 12,600 yesterday.
Sure.
But the facts are, the gamers that are giving it a chance, the gamers that are jumping into it, the majority are liking what they're playing. Again, the positivity score over there is like an 84 right now.
Yeah, right now on Steam, you have an 86% of the 1,440 user reviews for this game that are positive. And just to give you a perspective, it's almost 2,000 positive reviews versus the almost 300 negative.
Right. So the people that are playing it,
and that's not just Steam. That's also on the Xbox reviews, which has a 308 total reviews, and that's a 4.5. Which y'all know how these reviews get on consoles. Yeah, like they don't go fucking crazy just because. And then it's the same thing on for PlayStation, the PlayStation version of the game. They're all separately rated very highly in comparison to what they're being rated for Metacritic, right? And I saw Mav or it was somebody else bring up the comparison of like movies, right? Where you get the critics that review the movie and they say, oh well, yeah, this movie is the greatest movie we've ever seen, and then people actually go watch it and it's like, that movie wasn't that good. And then you have other movies where they say, "Oh, man, that movie was trash. It's not even a cinematic masterpiece." And then you have the audience to go to see it, and the audience is like, "The fuck were they talking about? This is one of the best movies I've seen in the last 20 years." You know what I mean? So I think we're really starting to get into a space more than ever where this is the case. And again, I get if this was not the game that people that are fans of Arkham wanted,
Nice.
But as somebody who is also a fan of the Arkham trilogy, I like what they presented here. I feel like I feel like they respect Harley and everything that she's been through, and now she's in a better spot. And now they even touch on some of the mentality of Harley, of that her being less than or not being good enough to be a leader. So that was interesting to see, right? Because if you're familiar with the show back in the day, like again, like the Batman animated show back in the day, I felt like they touched on the adversities of the Joker, Harley, a lot of the guys on a more human level than we had ever seen here recently. And I think the Arkham games did that same thing. So it's like, Rocksteady, it's just weird to me. Like, so Rocksteady didn't respect the source material here, but they did in the Arkham games. Okay, cool. What else were they supposed to do with the Suicide Squad? Yeah. Make them just get run over by somebody at some point? That was
the answer, not make this game, right? Not make the Suicide Squad game. That's the answer. Right?
That's not the reality that we live in. And because that's not the reality that we live in, and because the game for what it is exactly what they pitched it as. This is a looter shooter. It has a solid story to it. Actually, one of the better better hero type
comic
games.
Stories.
Well, comic stories. There we go. That's a better way to put it. Yeah. Better comic stories that I've ever experienced. Me going into the open world and seeing Brainiac's skull ship in the background every time that I leave the Hall of Justice, it's just like a fear factor is there. It's like, okay, what am I going to experience when I go into this world? In Arkham, sure, there were some things like that, and sure, Arkham was also a much grittier, darker, and all that stuff game. It was exactly what a Batman game was supposed to be. But the other thing about Arkham that people are also doing online that is fucking weird to me and almost cringy is they're taking a game, especially in Arkham Knight, that does not look that way by default, and are adding visual fidelity mods to say that, oh, this game, oh, look what we lost. Oh, Arkham Knight looks so much better than Suicide Squad does. I recently played Arkham Knight over the last few years, and I can tell you, as somebody who played on PC, that game does not look that way without mods. The way that people are pitching and trying to put comparisons up to, it does not look that way. It looks blurry. The resolution ain't all the way there. There's things that you gotta add on to make it even comparable. And yeah, when you do, I can hear that. I can definitely hear the comparisons being made. But we're also talking about a game that came out almost a decade ago. It feels like. Maybe less. Mm-hmm. So it's like, again, it's like the whole Starfield thing again. Oh, it's not as good as Skyrim was. I mean, even for me, I could say, well, yeah, I mean, sure, Starfield, I look at Starfield a little bit differently as somebody that went back and played Skyrim, but I also made sure to say, but I am playing with these visual fidelity mods. I also can tell you, oh, this is not the original experience of what Skyrim is. And that's not what people are doing here. It's just a dishonesty in the conversation. 90 years. Again, I was right there on the nose. Perfect. Appreciate that, Vandal. Almost a decade ago. 9 years worth of graphics mods and other mods that could be put into the game to make that game the best it could be, compared to a brand new game that just came out that's supposed to be a quote unquote live service game, which again, 30 hours in, I don't know where the live service is. Is the live service in the end screens? Is that what people are talking about? Because if that's the only live service thing that you're talking about, and they don't even take you out of the world to do it, it doesn't sure, it can be a disruptor to your experience. Sure, it's not consistent. It's not seamless. I just want them to just drop the stuff on the ground so I can just keep going. Okay, if that's what makes a live service to you, maybe you need to recheck what you really care about in these games. I like them showing me a screen so I can look at this new gun that I got so I can see why it's either better or it's not better. What game am I playing? I'm playing a looter. I need to see these details. That screen tells me, even the drop thing that comes in, people, well, it shows you that they had a loot box system in here. There's so many things in this game that are just broken. It shouldn't be this way. I don't agree with any of that. And it doesn't make sense. And again, reviewers, if you guys didn't want to play this game, and I'm not saying that this game has to also be the forever game. If I end up continuing to put time into it, I do. If I don't, then I don't. But I don't regret the time that I spent with it. But I can also judge it for what it is, not for what I wanted it to be. Because, I mean, if that's the case, I might as well do that with everything. I might as well just be completely blind to Destiny and all the things that they've taken away from me. Oh, I don't care about all that. They're still supporting the game. Who cares about all the other stuff I lost? No, I care. Like, it's weird. This is one of the most polished, bug-free, performance-friendly, well-made games that we have gotten in some time, and all that I've seen about this game is what the game is not. Every time I hear people talk about it, they talk about what the game is not. And that is not how we judge games. That is not how games should be judged, at least in my perspective. In our perspective, from what we both said here. It should be judged for what it is, that you have fun. Is the gameplay good? Is the mechanics good? And even people say, oh, it's just none of the mechanics make sense. You're just in here. The ending game is no. Okay. But you don't say this about any of the other games that do the same thing. That are actually much more repetitive. Like people comparing it, oh, it's not even as diverse as The Division is. Again, you're comparing a game that has years worth of content to a game that just released. Division Day 1 was bland as fuck. 1 and 2 were both bland as fuck day 1. I don't feel bland here. Matter of fact, I'm so caught up in the gameplay because, again, Division is also very straightforward. Go into a room, clear people out, move on. You get loot at the end of the fucking mission. And you can literally say that about every looter shooter. Oh, you just go in there, clear people out, and that's it. Destiny. That's all you do in those fucking raids. You know how many fucking strikes that I've done? Of the same content over how many years I was playing the fucking same 5 strikes over and over again?
How many nightmare dungeons have we run in Diablo 4, Steel? How many nightmare dungeons?
Of the same tier.
Yes.
Matter of fact, that was one of my complaints. I was like, yo, I thought this was supposed to be like, you're supposed to be using some form of AI to give us different layouts and shit. We're literally getting the same 5 layouts.
Correct. Yeah.
Again.
It's the grind, baby. The grind.
It is part of those games. I do find it funny the way people are approaching this. And again, I don't want to undermine or whatever the case for anybody else's opinion. If that's how you genuinely feel, that's how you feel. What I won't tolerate either is people making videos telling people that they're stupid, that they're smooth brained, that they're the R word, or they're idiotic, or they shouldn't be playing games that they think anything about this game is good, which our people are doing, and telling you that you're the problem with the gaming industry.
Or telling that we're capping, as the kids say nowadays, for a game just because. Like we're fake liking this game. You guys know me and Steel for sure. If you're listening to us,
that's so stupid.
We don't do that, right? And Steel has come on here plenty of times and criticized games before they launched, when he saw something he didn't like Redfall, he called it out before it launched. But he's come in with games that he has enjoyed, but then he will tell you, yeah, but as I kept playing it, when I got to end game, it wasn't great. Tiny Tina's Wonderland, right?
Yeah. But it's the same
we will always tell you that, and our opinions definitely evolve, and we'll come back with new opinions as we get later into games and whatever the case may be. If the co-op experience is bad, we're going to tell you the co-op experience wasn't smooth. This co-op experience deal, we didn't even talk about that. For the most part, outside of the characters in the selection screen not appearing to be the same characters that show up on screen.
Yeah.
Like we've had that, but otherwise the connection and getting linked up to play co-op has been pretty flawless, man. We haven't had dropouts. We haven't had people disconnected. We haven't had any of that stuff go on, which we see a lot of in co-op multiplayer type games these days. None of that has happened. Again, the overall experience has been extremely smooth. There's been a couple graphical bugs here and there with, we had it the other night when we hopped into Mav's world where one of the characters didn't show up during the cut scenes for a bit.
First time.
And then eventually that came back. I've had, when I pull off one of Harley's specials, the one I was talking about with her hammer and stuff, there are times in the action where there's a big group of enemies. When I pull that move off, that enemy won't appear. She'll do all her moves and it'll blow up and show me the hits, but that enemy won't be on the screen when I'm doing it. Just stuff like that, but no major game breaking bugs at all. Nothing outside of the norm that we kind of get nowadays with these big games, with these big open world games, especially. Nothing crazy at all. And again, to let everybody know, we're not playing on console. We are playing, all of us, on PC. I'm playing on my big screen with the controller. 4K, all the highest graphical settings, and I've even put ray tracing on, and I'm getting 60, lock 60. So, that's what I'm playing. That's my experience. That's what, obviously, again, we're all getting on PC. So again, the discourse is fine. Not everybody's going to like every game. We all know this. That's not how this works in the real world. But the facts are that this game is getting hated on a little bit more than I think it should have overall. Weird. And if you're on the fence about this game, watch the gameplay, watch people playing it, decide for yourselves, as I said from the beginning. And if it's still, you're still on the fence about it, then just, again, wait for the sale. Wait for the sale. Wait for them to continue to patch the game. Wait for some of the DLC to drop. The DLC is supposedly going to be free for everybody as they drop it. That's what they've said. They are going to have a premium battle pass. The battle pass has not started yet in this game, so just wait on it. It'll probably be on sale with what's happened around it. Chances are there's going to be one of those games that does go on sale pretty quick and start dropping in price, and pick it up at a price point that you're comfortable to try it at. But there is more than enough content in this game to justify a purchase. There is more than enough content to justify it. If you still look at this game and say, you know what, that looks pretty fun, listen to yourself and go try it out. And if you like looter shooters especially, give this a fucking go, okay? If you like looter shooters, there is a lot to love here about the game. So
yeah, Scott. Yeah, that was little girl Poison Ivy. I like what they did with Ivy, especially if you know what happened during the Arkham Knight, when the Arkham games. I like what they did with her here. She also reminds me of of what an evil child would be like that has that much power. And I like that I like that take on her, right? I can see her growing into something that there are so many things in this game that I'm just not used to. Like, especially on the villain side of things, I don't know where this game is going to take it. Especially when certain characters get introduced and how certain things that they tell you and more things that you get, find out about the characters and stuff. It's just like, I don't know what angle they're going to take this into for the future or additional story content, but I think it would be weird, interesting, and fun in a lot of ways that we haven't gotten recently. And Scott, I mean, you brought up with some looter shooters. You're kind of new to it. I'm gonna bring off a few that I know are familiar, and I believe that this game standing up there. I don't think it's quite Borderlands because of there's not that type of variety in the weapons. Now I say that. But when you get some of the weapons later on, there are legendary weapons and stuff that you get that do oh, if you get a critical hit on an enemy, it drops grenades. Or if you get a critical hit on an enemy, it'll launch all the enemies in the area into the air. Or stuff like that. So it's like a Borderland light as far as the guns go. But in comparison, like a Destiny, I'm not going to use Warframe because even that has a lot of diversity in it for many other reasons. Outriders, The Division. I'm not going to use Risk of Rain because I've always heard that that's a bit more versatile too. Remnant 2 would be, I think it's right up there with that also as far as loot goes. And again, I didn't hear people, there's not a shit ton of weapons in that game, but there are enough to where they feel like some of the boss weapons that you get, they feel impactful, right? They feel different.
And there's crafting in this game, and you can add, freeze effects or whatever to your weapons as well, so you can customize the weapons, which gives you variety and lets you play what you want to play. All the elements you can add to it, all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of that. The bonuses that you get, you can definitely feel the difference. A lot of the bonuses are tied to the combo meter. So that is something that's a little bit different from other looter shooters where it's pretty much straight up, right? You're getting, plus this damage. There's that here too as well. But some of the special stuff really happens when you start getting your combo meter up, which does add another level of skill to this game to make sure that you're keeping your combo meter up. And again, I'm not the best at that by any stretch of the imagination, but it isn't so difficult where I haven't had tons of times where I'm getting my combo meter up to 20, 25. Like I said, I hit 50 the other night for the first time. So there is a skill-based system to some of the weapons as well. But overall, you do feel the impact from the different weapons. You can tell when you've put a new weapon on, or when you've added an effect to it for sure. It definitely hits all those right marks. And last, I talked about it, but I do have to say, I would not be like going, how did this happen at the end of the year at the Game Awards? If any single one of the voice actors from this game were nominated for performance, best performance. That's how good the voice, and I'm talking about side characters to the main Suicide Squad themselves, to the Justice League characters. Again, all of them deserve flowers for their performances in this game. Just top notch. And of course, I got to give extra special credit to Tara Strong doing Harley. Just
I like it.
No, she's so good. But even like I said, the Justice League characters, Mav was talking about the Flash actor, whoever does the Flash.
Oh yeah, he's
in
on
this
point.
Game. Mav was saying, God, I wish this guy would have done Flash for the movie. Like it would have been a totally better movie, like out the gate. But like Wonder Woman, the actor who does Wonder Woman, she is phenomenal. And if this is the Wonder Woman, Steve, we didn't touch on it, but we talked about this while we were playing. Wonder Woman in this game, if this is the type of Wonder Woman we're going to get from the Wonder Woman game coming out that we haven't seen anything of besides the teaser a couple years, she is badass as hell. She is freaking Diana. She is Wonder Woman in this game. Like her, every time she comes in, she steals the scene completely, as she should. And I hope that they're going to base the Wonder Woman game around this type of, Diana, because man, I would not complain in the least if this actor that did her here is the one that does it in the actual Wonder Woman game. It's phenomenal job.
Absolutely.
Phenomenal presentation all around. So
yeah. Absolutely. But yeah, I mean, overall, with me now have beaten Suicide Squad, I would definitely probably give it. It's definitely a high 8 for me. So far, I'm getting more into the end game, and it may end up getting higher. I will tell you, if there's one thing that I could probably give it is, I've wanted to jump into Grand Blue this week, and every moment that I've had, I've chosen to play Suicide Squad.
There you go.
One, because of the story, but two, because I was liking what I was experiencing in that gameplay. It just feels good, right? There's no game out there that's like it. The closest thing that we had was Anthem, and the comparisons to Anthem are extremely disingenuous. You're talking about a game that had a broken story, had no end game, and very quickly showed you at the end of the game that there was nothing there. You had the same 3 missions that didn't really give you any legendary gear to grind for, because none of that stuff was adjusted. Matter of fact, they didn't adjust that shit until almost a month later. So it's like, there were some other games that people were comparing it to that I felt like was also very kind of weird. It was Anthem, and there was another one that had some issues when it originally released. Either way, this isn't that. So shout out to Rocksteady. Hopefully you guys get enough support. Hopefully enough people invest that you guys completely fulfill everything that you're trying to do with this game. All your DLC, I can't tell who the other characters are for the DLC. It does look like the second character is going to be Mr. Freeze related, or it could be Mr. Freeze himself. Who knows? But some of the other characters that they kind of show you towards the end of the game, because at the end of the game, they also give you the roadmap, kind of. They show you Joker's coming at first season 1, and then they show 3 other characters that you can't really tell who they are. So it's like, except for the second one, because you could see that he's in fucking around ice and shit. So it's like, man, it's probably Mr. Freeze or somebody of that ilk. So, yeah, man, shout out to that. Wasn't expecting for the game to be as good, but I am definitely glad it was consistent from what we played in the closed beta. So,
absolutely,
shout out to Suicide Squad.
Translated. Yep. Shout out to Grand Blue too, by the way. Just passed 100,000 concurrent Steam.
Oh, nice.
So that's
big
number
Damn.
for a JRPG, bro.
That's a huge jump. That's actually a big jump, because just recently, when the game first came out, people were talking about like official release. People were like, "Oh man, there's only like 1,000 people playing the game right now, man."
1,000, bro.
That's dope. That's dope to see.
Good numbers.
I was hoping because there is a good bit of the Grand Blue base out there, but more so on the mobile side, because that's where they started. Again, if people aren't familiar with Grand Blue Fantasy, started off as a mobile game, and now this is their foray in doing a non-gotcha mechanic style game where you get everything with the game on release, and them doing a more action-oriented style, for sure.
Right. Yep. So no, great to see. Love to see it.
That's super bold to see. Captain Cold is a Flash villain. If some read comics, we would know this. I mean, it could be. Again, I get where you come from, Vandal. Us not being as familiar with the comics, where you would feel some of the ways that you do. I hear you, but again, when you have certain casts of characters that over the years have not transitioned that great in comparison to all the other counterparts, I don't mind them doing something. Maybe stepping on a few toes here to tell the story that they need to tell. At least that's how I feel. So.
Absolutely. No, but I understand that side. Like I said, it's how I feel about Star Wars, right? I totally understand where people are coming from when it comes to the Star Wars fandom and how I feel what Disney's done. So I get people like Eastside who are absolutely 1,000% against this game and don't want any part of it.
But if Star Wars took a cast of characters that you were maybe you're loosely familiar with, but they've always been... Sure. Let's just take Jar Jar Binks all of a sudden, and they made Jar Jar Binks. They made a good Jar Jar Binks game.
I don't care. I would not be playing it. I would not. I would be like Eastside. I would be like Eastside. 1,000. Again, that's why I can understand the sentiment. Like I said, it's the dogpiling. It's going around to everybody's posts that is enjoying the game, claiming that, like as you said, Steele, that there's getting personal with people over telling people that they have to hate this game, like that there's no way that you can
this fails. We need this game to fail so they can learn a lesson. What lesson do they need to learn?
Right.
Can somebody break that down to me?
And move on.
The only lesson that that I've like avidly seen people reference to, this is going to teach people not to make live service games anymore.
No.
What?
No.
If you don't get to the live service part until the end game.
This is so less live. Avengers was egregious.
It was way more live service in this game.
Egregious.
Gotham Knights was more live service in this game.
That's why I can't hear Greg over there saying Avengers is a better game.
No. It's not even a better game story-wise. No.
Bro.
Far. You're way off base.
Listen, then that
His
just
opinion.
and again, he kind of did say it, so I'll give him credit for kind of saying that he got to play as the heroes. He got to play as Captain America, so that makes it overall a better game for him.
I hate
If
Captain
you
America.
want to play heroes, that I know, but I'm just saying for him that was a big moment. Again, that's fine as long as you just admit that it's a fact that you have to play as the villains in this game that you don't like. That's okay. But again, why are we continuously talking about it? It's just not a game for you. Move on. There's plenty of other games to play. There's a whole lot of people hate playing this game suddenly. You know, people that said they had no interest, didn't like it, are still posting about it. Shout out to Destin about how he couldn't get into the servers. Why are you still posting? Why are you still trying to get into this game if the game wasn't for you? There's a billion other games to go play. Go try some of the other new stuff out there. Why are you still constantly playing this? It's the same for Star.
Froggy brings up a point. He says, what about the boss fights in Kill the Justice League? Don't they seem kind of basic? Don't you think an endgame boss should have more than 3 moves? I don't know. I think maybe a boss in the division should do more than shoot me. I think a boss in the division should do more than shoot grenades across the lobby or have auto aim at such a point that even if you're behind cover, it still hits you. I think Destiny should probably have more. I mean, and again, the Destiny is also very different because they've added mechanics as they've went on. But yeah, I feel like the boss at the end of Strikes, I think they should all do something different other than just shoot me with Diablo big bosses, purple laser. Yeah, I think the Diablo bosses. I think instead of the few moves that Lilith actually uses, she should like get down on the floor and actually like throw hands with me. I think that would have made that boss fight much better. No, the thing about boss fights is, again, I get that if you're saying that, you know, they did simplify them, but again, you're also playing through the story. And I don't think that the boss fights were like so overly simplified that you felt like you could feel like, oh man, this is way too easy. They were still doing damage to me. They were throwing the additional things at me that of course I could see and stuff like that, but you can't dodge everything. You know what I'm saying? Like the bosses they telegraph bosses for a reason. Because maybe this isn't the first time that you fight this boss. You know what traditionally happens when you get to end game? Now you got modifiers on top of fighting this boss that you fought before, where the experience is not the same. That's what traditionally happens with these bosses. The raid bosses in Destiny do the fucking same shit. Oh, you better go stand on that plate. Oh, if you don't stand on that plate, one person dies, everybody dies. Not everything has to have these super complicated mechanics because, again, like Destiny, which I don't even know if they have it in there now, but you don't have this thing where you can go on and matchmake for raids. They might have it now, but I've been away from Destiny for so long, they didn't do it for the longest time. It would be easier. Some of these games, it is easier for you to go in solo, maybe with a couple guys, get a random and get a mission done. Not everything needs to be I need to go do a 10-page book report and I need to watch 15 videos of how to make the best character that I can make in this. It doesn't have to be that. Mm-hmm. I want this, I'll leave it at that, and I'll leave it at this. I just want this game to be the best that it can be.
Sure.
I think that Rocksteady did everything that they need to do to make this the best game that they could make. On the story standpoint, on the gameplay standpoint, on a loot standpoint, just as an overall game.
Yep.
My fun level is at least at a 9.
Yeah.
I give the game an 8, but my fun level is at least at a 9 every time that I play. And every time that I swap to a new character, I've come to the realization I just don't like King Shark like that. I thought I would. I don't. I don't like playing King Shark like that. Why? Maybe because I haven't played him like that through the story. I've started to like Harley a little bit more, much more than both King Shark and Boomerang. So it's like even my list that I thought I was going to have in the very beginning has changed since I've progressed through the game. Deadshot's still up there, top number 1 for me. Love the way Deadshot feels. But again, that's also appealing to me in my Iron Man fantasy. And I think, again, this gives me another great baseline of, well, damn, maybe they put some of this into the Iron Man game that they really, these are the things that I would like to see. So shout out to them. And I love King Shark too. King Shark is a way better character than I ever could have imagined.
Yes.
For sure.
Hilarious, bro.
And just knowing that he was a shark turned human versus a human turned shark, and I think it's hilarious to me.
It is.
I think it's quite amazing. All right, I think from there we might as well get into some additional smoke. And I don't know, Jasper. King Shark is the best as far as DPS and all of that. Especially from what I've seen, I think he's a little bit over the top. Actually, they need to dial him in a bit, because from what I've seen, some gameplay, like he far outscores some of the other heroes, and it's just because of his play style. But anyway, I think we can go into one bucket of smoke, so maybe we go into another bucket of smoke here with the state of play, because I even think, some people. We had the state of play that happened this week for PlayStation, and typically, as you've mentioned before, Pong, state of plays aren't usually like a first-person kind of first-party showcase where you get those style of games. But there were some things that were rumored, and some things that we may have expected. There was also supposed to be a rumor that some games from Xbox were going to be announced at the state of play, which that didn't happen. And again, I do think that this state of play ended up reconfirming that there are definitely more Xbox guys that have PlayStation news than PlayStation dudes that have the news that they need, right? So I thought that was really interesting, because they literally hit that shit on the head. But yeah, still state of play happened this week, and let me go ahead and pull that up on the screen for you guys in the background, so you guys can tune into that while I have this running here. Let's see, here we go. And the state of play overall, I personally gave it right about a 7. I gave it about a 7 out of 10, just because there were games that were interesting there. Again, me and Pong have talked about Stellar Blade. That was one of them that was shown there. And also Helldivers 2. Those are two games that me and Pong are extremely interested in. Helldivers, y'all going to get gameplay probably next week. And get some go-op gameplay. And that game, again, they did some more additional previews also, which kind of get me a little bit more excited. It looks like it's it's so funny about live service game. How is Helldivers 2 getting more appreciation than seemingly Suicide Squad is? And I don't think Helldivers has any story, really. At least that's the way it's coming across.
There's a lot of people hating on Helldivers 2 too.
Is there? Damn, it's crazy. I've seen a lot of people. Well, one, I have definitely seen more like, nobody was asking for this game, versus people actually being like, I'm interested in this. But then when I go to other communities like Facebook and other places where they have more of that casual and other people, or people that have played the first game, I've also watched other people, some videos of people who played the first game, who were like, I actually like the fact that they went third person this time around. Gives you a different perspective. I feel like it makes it more visceral. Gives you that Starship Trooper vibe that we spoke to very early on. There's a lot of people who are interested in it, are making that same cross reference, saying this is exactly the Stormtrooper game that we've been asking for this entire time. So that's really dope to see. So, and they showed it here. I don't think that it did anything additionally. I meant to play it. My fault, guys. But we'll run down a little bit of a list here. I can't run down the list because I got to play the video at the same time. Let me do this.
No,
I got it. I gotta
okay.
get the link real quick and then pull it up on on this other browser over here. So the list real quick while this is playing. They did show off Dave the Diver. This is going to be kind of out of order, so keep that in mind also. This is coming from blog.playstation.com. They did show off Dave the Diver coming to, I don't know if it's already on PlayStation. I don't believe that it is. But they did show
not
that,
as of yet.
Okay, not as of yet. But what was mostly interesting about this was them introducing Godzilla to the game.
Yes.
Which I thought that was really dope, especially seeing the recent hype for Godzilla, especially -1. That's super dope to see. Death Stranding 2 was another one that was not only extremely weird and visceral for me, It didn't really, again, it looked like more of what you had in the first game. I haven't played the first game, so I don't know what that entails. I'm not the one to sit there and say, oh, it's a UPS delivery game or a FedEx game, or you're just delivering shit. And I do like the thought of the online elements where people can help build bridges and stuff like that. I thought the idea of that was super dope. So if he's going to end up doing more of that in this game, I mean, visually, it was extremely impressive. You can obviously tell, especially with the guitar dude towards the end, that there was some inspiration taken from somewhere. Maybe he had that the entire time. I don't know, but I think it's extremely convenient that there's this electric guitar dude, and we just had electric guitar dude in Hi-Fi Rush and Shy. So that's just very convenient that character's in there. Maybe that's impact, maybe it's not. Maybe it was just a good idea and something that hasn't happened very often. So Kojima thought it'd be a good idea. But how did you feel about Death Stranding 2, Pong? I know you got into a little bit. You've played Death Stranding 2.
A little bit of Death Stranding.
A little bit at least. And did it pull your interest some more? Did you like what you saw? Was it more over the top than even the first one? I didn't like the whole baby and the robot coming out of its mouth. I thought that was weird as fuck. I was like, yo, what is going on in this fucking game? I have no damn clue.
That's the genius of Kojima, man. Kojima's earned, not everybody's going to agree with this, but for me, Kojima's earned the right to do whatever the hell he wants to, right? And Kojima's games will always interest me, even if they wind up not being something that I necessarily like dive into for hundreds of hours, right? He earned this respect a long time ago. This is why he went independent, along with obviously Konami treating him with less respect than he believed he deserved in a lot of ways, if the smoke is all true around his breakup with Konami. But the fact is this is why he went independent. So he could go do this stuff without anybody trying to tell him, you can't do that in the game.
Right.
You can't make that type of game. That idea is going to be terrible. Nobody's going to like it. He got away from all of that. He controls his own destiny now, him and his team, and he can put whatever he feels into a game, whatever. Again, there's some people who claim that he must be on drugs to pull this off. I don't think so. I think Kojima's just on a different plane
shrooms
when it comes to his imagination. Yeah, I mean,
shrooms,
again, you
I
could
think there's
see
some shrooms involved.
You could see some of that. If it came out that he did dabble, I would not be like, oh my god, what?
Some out of the box
I wouldn't
thinking.
be. But I just think that his imagination, he allows his imagination to be open and run wild. Right. And whatever idea flits through his head, if he locks in on it and he goes, yeah, that's a great idea, I'm going to put it in a game, he puts it in the freaking game, despite what anybody else would ever say. That's why I respect Kojima for pushing boundaries and doing things that most devs, number one, would never take a risk on, and number two, would be told they can't no matter what at the end of the day from a publisher or from the higher ups. So I think Kojima is one of those free thinkers that, again, yes, I think people are correct. He always wanted to make movies, but wound up being very good at making games. And so now he brings movie stuff into gaming. That's fine. I don't care. I think that he takes chances that nobody else will. And I think it's good. I think it pushes the medium forward. Even if his ideas don't land, it makes people think about stuff. And as far as the story cohesiveness goes, I can hear the people that say he just puts whatever in and people call it genius because people can't understand it. And Kojima himself probably doesn't understand it.
Metal Gear could tell you all the videos out there about like the underlying meanings of some of the things that were happening in Metal Gear and stuff like that. There's no way he was just thinking surface level and just throwing shit together. There's too many dots that you could connect.
I agree with you. And maybe Kojima is the only person in the world who really knows what he means, right? Yeah. Or really understands. He might be the only person, but other people just play his games and call it genius because it's so complex. I don't care about any of that. He makes it interesting. And Death Stranding 2, the showing at the State of Play was no different for me. Again, as I played a little bit of Death Stranding 1, I want to get back to it when it was on PC Game Pass. It's now no longer in PC Game Pass. I'll eventually re-pick up that game because for me, I found enjoyment in the world just walking around carrying packages. I found enjoyment. There's a little bit, obviously, of horror to it because you never know what's going to happen because
she could come out of the ground and stuff,
around.
Right?
Exactly. You don't know what's going to happen. But number one, the Decima engine is one of my favorite game engines of all time. Like this engine is so gorgeous. I saw people doing the comparisons with Hellblade 2, of course, that was going to come out.
Oh my God.
But honestly, there are some points because Kojima with the Decima engine, he uses state-of-the-art motion capture as well. Mm-hmm. We obviously know Ninja Theory got upgraded by Xbox when they got acquired to state-of-the-art motion capture. They use it in a similar fashion. So there is going to be those comparisons. And there was sometimes where obviously Death Stranding 2 and some of the stuff that we saw did look comparable to Hellblade 2. I still think Hellblade 2 is on another level as far as that goes, but there are certainly some parts of it that I was like, yeah, no, absolutely. But no matter what, it's gorgeous. It's freaking amazing watching these actors be represented on the screen, and they look lifelike in their comparisons, one for one in some instances to the actual actors themselves. Awesome. I fell in love with it the minute I saw it. We didn't get a whole lot of gameplay, although that is the gameplay because the game is heavily narrative, movie driven style. That is gameplay for a Kojima game, especially Death Stranding. So Death Stranding 2 impressed the hell out of me. The puppet, my God, the puppet is so damn cool. I saw people trying to shred it. That's fine. If it's not your thing, it's not your thing.
Kojima came out and said he intentionally did that. 15
frames. He
frames
intentionally did the 15
he wanted it to
frames.
feel like that.
And it works for me. It works for me in every way, shape, or form. I was absolutely glued to the screen watching it. Exactly. Watching it back in 4K as I did afterwards, because of course I was at work. I couldn't do it. Shout out to Mav and Jasper who covered it over on the Fun Speculation channel. They did a great job. But I had to go back and watch this stuff in 4K, of course. My God, it just looks so damn freaking cool. I hope I saw some people bring this up to Steel. I don't know if you saw any of this chatter, but I honestly, after seeing the puppet, I hope that South of Midnight brings some of that in. Right, because you saw the trailer for South of Midnight, from Compulsion. I could and how they did some of the animation that way, and some people were complaining about it, whatever else. I hope the gameplay has some of that element to it because it looks awesome mixed in on top of normal kind of 60 frames or 30 frames.
That stop motion look.
I love it. Yeah, the stop motion look. I think it looks fantastic. But yeah, no, I think it's great that Kojima finally got to show off Death Stranding 2. I don't think it's going to come to PC day one. I think this will be one of the ones that Sony does hold back. For a while as an exclusive where it's only available on PlayStation. But I can't wait to see more from this game. Definitely had love for Death Stranding 2. Again, I'm not going to sit here and hate on it, even if it winds up not being a game that I'm interested in. The story is the characters themselves draw you in. I mean, again, the girl, I forget her name, but she's got that device that is like rubber gloved hands that covers up her face like a mask, and it does things like light her cigarette. Like,
oh yeah, she wears it around her shoulder like it's
you wear it around her neck, and like it's a scarf, and you got these hands. But these hands are animated by themselves, and they seem to have some type of AI and understand what she wants. Like that stuff just is so cool to me, man. Like I could sit there and just watch people play the game just because of that kind of stuff happening, along with the puppet and along with everything else. I don't know where he's taking the story. I don't know where it's going. I don't know how much is going to be centered. It seems like it's still going to be centered around the delivery aspect, but Kojima has been well known to completely go sideways, right? And introduce new mechanics. And maybe he's had another great idea to kind of add to the whole bridge building and that kind of stuff, community-based stuff. Maybe he goes away from that completely, and this is much more single player focused, not so much about building bridges for everybody else in the world. We don't know.
With how he's been talking about this, in the creative hit he's been, I think he's just going to add on to it.
More of that. I think he wants more and more.
He's been kind of hinting at that.
Yeah,
I feel like
I thought it was a great showing. I thought it was a great game to have at State of Play. It's not first party. As you talked about, State of Plays generally aren't first party, but they own the IP. So to have Kojima up there,
it's a big game for them. Yeah.
More interestingly, 2 on top of Death Stranding 2 though, Steel, and we'll just do this right here because it's that whole segment there.
Yeah.
I think it went too long. I agree with people. I was glued to the screen, but I do agree for the pacing of the show. But that's Kojima again. That happened at the Game Awards when he talked about Overdose.
Yeah,
right. Keely had him up. This is his style. This is what he gets. He gets the red carpet. Go ahead, talk as long as you want about it. Show off as much as you want. 10 minutes was a little too long for a state of play to give to Death Stranding 2, but that's fine. It's Kojima, whatever. More interestingly, at the end with him and Herman Holst, they also announced, obviously in retaliation to Xbox signing an exclusive deal for an exclusive game, Overdose, for the Xbox. Well, Herman Holst and PlayStation got Kojima to announce a new exclusive for them, which is going to be even further out. Kojima kept saying next generation stuff, so I'm imagining this is going to be a PS6 game more than likely. But he announced that he is going back to the stealth espionage with a new IP, right? Because he doesn't own Metal Gear, but they've convinced him to go back to a new IP, Steel, in that vein, stealth espionage. But just like Overdose, Kojima once again talked about his love of the movies. This is going to be a heavy, potentially maybe even TV series built around it, movie built around it, whatever, because at the end of him talking about this new, he didn't say a whole lot, says just in the beginnings works. They panned out of the stage in a drone-like fashion from where him and Herman were standing and talking, and they panned out and they were on the what looked like to be the Columbia Pictures set, right? The studio. And the code name or the working title name, as Kojima confirmed on X, formerly known as Twitter, is Fiznit, right? Fiznit. So that is the working title, but I'm really interested in to see what he's going to do in that vein. Yeah. Because it won't be Metal Gear, right? He won't have Snake. He won't have, the characters that are beloved in the Metal Gear world. So he's going to have to build a brand new kind of lore and world around it. But obviously that's where he cut his teeth. That's what most people know him for. And so it's going to be great to see him go back to that stealth espionage type title. And I can't wait to see what he does with that. So Absolutely. That was really cool.
I agree. Then we moved, we're going to move on to Dragon's Dogma 2, which I put out a tweet or an X, depending on what you want to call it, this week saying that Dragon's Dogma 2 is going to be smoking on that last Ronin pack, my boy. I saw some people making comparisons. I even saw a show, or heard a show, I should say that The Last Ronin is fine where it's at because both games are going to have their own audience, which I do agree. There's going to be some. Sure. There's going to be some of that. Absolutely, but there's also some blend there that I think this time around, Dragon's Dogma is not going to get slept on like it was the first time. At least from what we have seen thus far. Now, the one thing that I can say about Dragon's Dogma that may be a negative for some people versus, let's just say, Last Ronin, for an example, and I'm only bringing this up because it was a point that was brought up, is that Dragon's Dogma 2 will be 30 FPS on console.
Correct.
Capcom has also come out and stated that there is currently no plan to increase the frame rate. Correct. And I'm going to tell you this. If Dragon's Dogma actually releases as a game that has no loading screens, and also has it set up to where if you drop stuff on the floor, that stuff still exists and you can come back to it later, along with some the pawn system, because that was extremely deep in the first game, and some other underlying mechanics, I can understand why the game is 30 frames on console. With it being as 4 times the size of the first game, you telling me that there's no load screens, that already sets an expectation for me where I'm like, this is going to be a pretty demanding game overall. I don't think I will not settle in for that excuse, and I will never think that it is okay for a game to release at 30 FPS on console. Point blank period. 60 frames should be the standard, especially for an action game. That's just me. Everybody else have their own decision. Now, with that, I do have the opportunity of choice. So I will be playing the game on PC. And I also want to clear up, because that was one thing I wanted to clear up, because again, people could talk negatively about it, but if Dragon's Dogma ends up being exactly everything that it needs to be, then it's going to be doing things that even games today are not doing. Some things that we thought Starfield was going to do, as an example. This game is going to have some of that. So, nonetheless, again, decide what you will or not. I don't think that 30 FPS is going to make or break this game, but I do think it'll be better to play it at 60. With that being said, Dragon's Dogma also has I don't think we've gotten any real clarification other than the tweet that I put out there, where right now, at a standard, I think recommendation, 1440p, 60, I believe high settings, you should be able to get 60 frames on PC. Now, some people are running with, it's supposed to be locked 30 on PC as well. And I just want to bring a reality to the table. Even if the devs decide to lock it at 30, which has never happened in the existing of PC gaming, and I don't see Dragon's Dogma all of a sudden being the new standard of what to expect on PC. Matter of fact, for it to be recommended at 1440p on high settings to get 60 frames, a 2080 for a graphics card, that is 2 generations behind what Pong has. And I heard you guys talking about that. And it's a generation behind what I have, and I have a 3080 Ti, which still is not chump change in comparison. But even with that, we're going to be perfectly fine to run 60. I run 1080p. Again, go back to Suicide Squad. I'm getting most of the time right over 100 frames, but even Suicide Squad drops down to 55 sometimes when I get in those real hectic scenes. There's a shit ton of guys on the screen. There may be some of that here. And I always like to bring that up because even playing at 1080p, everything cranked to the max because I feel like that makes up that difference, right? Yeah. I play on Ultra because I'm playing on a lower resolution. So it just gives me this a little additional details. And there's some other things like reshade and things like that I can do to sharpen up my image if I really want that. But I think this game is going to have some of that also, right? This game is going to be really interesting to see how it's going to play out. I'm really loving the combat from it. It's looking super over the top. I'm really liking the dual blade gameplay again. As I'm getting older, I'm finding myself getting away from being a tank or the guy with the great sword, which I mean, I still want to be a guy with a great sword at some point, but I want the faster movement. I want to be in the action. I want to be swinging my blades fast and shit. Like, I don't know what that's about. Like, I'm getting older and I want things to be even faster. I want to be more, I want more intensity versus, most of the time, you think you get older, you're like, you know what? I think I'll just be a tank now. I just get the axe, I get the shield, and I just tank. I'm like, nah, I've done that for quite long enough. I think I would be a little bit more wild this time around. And then also seeing that they actually have a class, I believe it's called the Wanderer. I could be off on that. That seems to be an extremely versatile class. And Blind Mephisto brings out the bow combat. That was looking juicy too. I was debating on I think that was the archer that was using the duel. I don't know. But I've been liking bow gameplay here recently too. Just being able to step, as long as you got good movement with it, bow gameplay can be really fun. But Dragon's Dogma 2, especially with that new class, the Wanderer or whichever it's called, allowing you to kind of be really versatile, try different classes or use different weapons all in one class. I thought that was really interesting too. Just Dragon's Dogma 2 seems to be combining a lot of elements from other games that we have gotten, along with just upping its own level, and it has me extremely excited. Even if Rise of the Ronin was coming everywhere, day one, with both games releasing the same day, I am going Dragon's Dogma 2 9 out of 10 times, every time. Mm-hmm. And the last Ronin is my style of game, right? We'll get into that later. We'll talk a little bit about that, but at all 10 times out of the week, I'm always choosing Dragon's Dogma 2, especially coming off of what I played in that first game. I didn't beat the first game, but I did put a good amount of time into about 20 to 30 hours. just to, I was able to really get a real feel of the vastness of that world and what it meant to be in the nights, walking around and feeling that intensity that the game gives you. And seeing all those things carry over to Dragon's Dogma 2 has me really excited. Only thing it's missing is co-op. That would have been super dope to see them bring into DD2. I think that would have elevated it to a completely different level. Like just being able to drop in, drop out co-op. You don't even have to use your main character. If you got to use a pawn, that's cool. Use one of your side characters. Come into my world. Let's hang out. Let's run together. Story progression and all that.
Yep, another missed opportunity.
It is what it is. I don't think it's going to take away from the game. Again, they never said it was going to be that, but I do think it's a missed opportunity. How do you feel about Dragon's Dogma 2, Pong? Do you agree with me that again, I know you're not typically the Souls-like kind of player anyway, and Lies of Ronin, the Last Ronin, excuse me.
Lies of Ronin. I like it.
But the Last Ronin was seemingly this time around definitely perceiving itself to be more of a challenging game. Again, I hinted that it seems to be a little bit more in line with Lies of P, Neo, or Sekiro, which those three games are definitely on the harder scale of that Soulsy style. But how do you feel about this? Is it 10 out of 10 times that you're playing Dragon's Dogma 2 over Last Ronin?
Yeah, absolutely. I like some of the stuff that Ronin's doing, for sure. And maybe we'll touch on it a little bit later. But I do like some of the stuff Ronin's doing. But no, Dragon's Dogma 2. Excuse me. Dragon's Dogma 2. I've already said it. Right now, from what I'm seeing, this has got Game of the Year quality written on it, all over it. This is probably, again, if they nail it, and I have the utmost faith in this team, from a game that a lot of the fans of Dragon's Dogma didn't even think would ever happen, just because Dragon's Dogma itself, while they certainly updated it to Dark Arisen and all that kind of stuff, and it gained followers as the years went by, it was never one of Capcom's biggest titles by any stretch of the imagination. It gained a cult-like following long after the game first came out. People missed it when it first dropped because there was so much else to play in the RPGs, and people didn't get the whole Eastern flavored Western RPG that they created with that game, and people didn't realize how good the pawn system was until later too. But Dragon's Dogma 2, one of those games still that I can't see enough of. Now, there are great looking games like Hellblade 2 and stuff. Right. I still like to see more Hellblade 2, but a lot of people say I've seen enough Hellblade 2. We've certainly seen a ton of Dragon's Dogma 2 now, especially if you're on X. They keep posting more and more clips on X as well. Like, they're going out of their way to promote this, but every time I see it still, my hype levels they're already high, but it's one of those games that gets me more hyped because, again, I'm an RPG fan. And I loved the first one. I had restarted it prior to this plethora of games coming out, and I'm going to go back and finish it on console at 30 frames, Dark Arisen. I will finish another playthrough before Dragon's Dogma 2 comes out. And for anybody, again, who's just hearing about Dragon's Dogma 2 or who hasn't heard, you don't have to play the first one to drop into Dragon's Dogma 2. They have done the old classic. Your main character has amnesia. So don't worry about playing Dragon's Dogma 1 if you don't want to go back and play it before you drop into Dragon's Dogma 2. You'll be just fine. They're going to refresh the story for everybody again. But I just want to go back and play Dragon's Dogma 1 again, just because of how much I enjoyed my playthrough originally. So I'm so hyped for this game. Game of the Year. They keep showing off more classes. They keep showing off more magical effects. And they did that so in this trailer, like you were talking about, Steel, that bow gameplay was looking pretty phenomenal. Legolas, man, you were out here, and the first one had great bow gameplay too. But what they've added on top of what they had with the original, you can see it in this, and some of the special effects when they threw out that ice wall cast and stunned that Cyclops, man, I was like, whoa. Because that ice wall grew out of nothing, slammed into that Cyclops.
Not only that, but he also used it to jump up. He used that ice to mantle
jump
himself on or do it to
Yes.
do an attack at least to the Cyclops. So it's like the versatility, like
Oh, yeah, you can combine all that stuff. And they showed, if you guys watched the last kind of developer kind of deep dive that they did, or I should say it was through IGN's first, again, I know a lot of people have completely blacked out IGN and won't go look at it in their content. Again, I criticize them, but they still have access that most people don't. And they had the first look that they do on Dragon's Dogma 2. So I have watched their videos, but the one where they showed as the support class, I forget the name of it, the one where you're almost a complete support class, but you can create illusions that draw the enemies
Trickster,
to those
wasn't it?
illusions.
Or
The Trickster,
something like
yeah,
that,
I think it was something like that. But they had them running towards a fake piece of land with this illusion on it, and they just run off the cliff. Still, the enemies just run off the cliff. You're not hitting them with anything. They just lemmings right off the cliff, right? Crazy. But yeah, that speaks to the versatility that you can do here. The big one for me out of this trailer, though, Steel, was the dragon. When they showed the dragon battle, that dragon looks so dope, man. The dragon just looks spot on, and him breathing fire while you're jumping on his back and freaking, hitting him in the head and trying to take down I can't wait, man. Dragon's Dogma 2, all in, day one. I'll be there. I am getting it on PC. My PC villain arc has started. That is for damn sure. Now that I have my PC hooked up to my TV and I figured out all the little quirks that I have as far as how to get it working properly.
Still weird, but yeah.
It's still weird, but I've got it down, so we're good. Now that I can play on my couch, on the big screen, from my PC, my PC villain arc has started. Not to say that I'm never going back to console. Again, I bought Tekken 8 on console. There will be certain games that I certainly pick up on console, but I'm definitely getting Dragon's Dogma 2 for that 60 frames and all the bells and whistles on my big screen. I will be there day one. We're gonna have a lot to talk about it when it launches in March. Can't wait. March 22nd. Again, between that and Last of Ronin, like Steele said, 10 out of 10 times. Dragon
Touched one thing in OBS, and then just the audio. Okay, here goes my camera.
How dare you? How dare you?
I do think that I need to end up getting another motherboard for my computer. I do think that I need to do something, because I have something going on with the USBs in my computer, and maybe that's what's causing an issue. Some of the USB ports on my PC don't work as intended. Sometimes I got to plug things out, plug them back in multiple times for them to be recognized. I'm also I damn near use every damn USB port on my PC too. So that's the other thing. Yeah, man, I don't know what the fuck's up with that shit. But it's quite annoying if you can't tell. Hold on real quick. Let me change one more thing. But yeah, overall, sorry guys for the brief interruption there, but Dragon's Dogma 2, we're both excited for it. We're choosing a lot. And we're definitely choosing that over Rise of Ronin 10 out of 10 times. Let me try one thing here. I'll just plug it in later. All right. Are you still there, Pro?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. I just want to make sure you. Yeah, back? I think we're back. I want to make sure. Okay. I want to refresh the page real quick. You got it up on your side?
Yep.
All right, perfect. All right. If we're looking good, then let's keep it rolling. Let's see if I can get chat pulled back up. Nope, I can't. That's fine.
You can't get chat pulled up?
Nah, I can get it re-pulled back up, but no, it's not automatically, unfortunately. Let's see.
Well, yeah, we are live and rocking here, so
perfect. Again, greatly appreciate you guys for rolling with us and working through some of these issues. Again, it's happened. I don't know what's going on in these last couple of weeks where OBS just doesn't like me, but that's fine. That is absolutely fine, because the show must go on, right?
Sorry, chat. Tech issues. Hate this shit, man.
It's all good. So we were talking about, again, Dragon's Dogma. So we'll move on from there. The next thing is going to be Foam Stars. I know some of you guys are extremely excited about Foam Stars, the Splatoon knockoff. A lot of people don't want to at least submit to that, or now with Power World, now people are saying, oh, this is okay. This is so much different than what Splatoon is offering, and it's probably going to be a hitter. I've even joked that Foam Stars could potentially have some potential. I don't believe it's going to release on PC. I think this is going to be a PlayStation only game. So that's something to take in consideration. What I did find interesting is that Foam Stars is going to be releasing on PlayStation Essentials, if I'm not mistaken, which is the bottom tier for the PlayStation service. So it is going to be I won't call it a free game, quote unquote, but I will say that it's a game that you'll be able to get into your service. Get in your service. One,
good.
I thought this didn't work. I thought this was the wrong way to do things. I thought Sony would never do this. What happened to that? Okay. I just want to ask that question because I find it interesting that there are certain games that are coming to a service that some people are, again, I saw some people hyping up Foam Stars. And again, if you're excited for it, great. John, we need more multiplayer games out there. I'm always going to promote the multiplayer games. Hopefully it's good. Hopefully it's everything that people need it to be. Pong, I mean, are you any indifferent about Foam Stars at all? You gonna play it day one? You gonna get a PC? You gonna get a PlayStation just for Foam Stars?
No, I'm not. No, I had zero interest in it. Again, I'm not gonna hate on the game. I laugh at it because of how much they ripped off Nintendo. Obviously, but at the same time, I'm not gonna hate on it. I hope people love it. I hope it becomes something for them. But overall, do I think that this game is going to take off? I don't personally see it, but again, been shocked before. Again, Pal World came out of nowhere and shocked the hell out of me, but this wouldn't be a game. If it was in Game Pass, I'm not going to lie, I would download it and try it with everybody, right? The fam would probably play it for a bit, try it out, but then I'd probably uninstall it, just like I did with any of the other fun games that came out, right? These games just don't really interest me, especially since the style doesn't really interest me either. But again, if the game is fun, if they just took it directly from Nintendo and kind of just Square put their spin on it with their characters and some different mechanics, cool. I mean, maybe it will take off. I just don't think that this is the multiplayer that's going to show everybody. I'm happy that they put it into PlayStation Plus, for Essentials all the way up to Premium. I think it's a good move. It's going to give the game its best chance. As we always talk about, these games need audiences. I don't think people would have necessarily plopped down even $30 for this game had it cost money. So I think it's a great way to put it in PS Plus, promote that a little bit as well, and hopefully get maybe a solid base that they can build off of, and maybe they turn it into a nice little small game that sticks around for a while. But does Foam Star move the needles for me personally? No, it doesn't at all. So, but again, I'm not going to hate on it. It is what it is. Games do this all the time. Companies do this all the time. Take from other companies and try to make their own thing out of it. It's cool for me. It's not me. It's not me at all. And Nixie, real quick, I was going to add this in. Nix asked if all I needed was an HDMI cable to do the TV, PC to the TV. Yes, technically that's all I needed. We did have to go in. I had Steele on the phone with me. We did have to go in and fiddle with display settings and that kind of stuff. I'm sure you're well aware, Nixie, depending on how many monitors you have. I'll let you guys know what the weird hiccup is with my setup, which Steele has never heard of. And honestly, we both did Google searches and really haven't found any people that talk about this specifically. Again, I'm running a full AMD build for anybody who doesn't want to know. Or anybody does need to know. I'm running a full AMD build, so whether or not this affects a lot of people or not, I have a Samsung widescreen main monitor, right? What I wound up finding out, I actually have 3 monitors if you count my TV all together. Everything looked great. Everything running great. Some games fine. Baldur's Gate 3, 0 issues, right? Against the Storm, 0 issues when I first fired it up on the big screen. But then we started loading. I loaded in like Gotham Knights, right, on PC Game Pass. Fine on my regular computer setup. I played it before, no issues. But with the big screen, all of a sudden I was getting 10 frames, 11 frames, 20 frames. Like it was all over the place. It looked horrible. It didn't even look good. No, Steel, we ran through everything between the PC side of things, between AMD software. We ran through all the different settings, trying a billion different things. Unplugged one of my monitors, still didn't change my low frames. If I turned off the TV and went back to my widescreen, perfect. Flawless performance. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
So then we were at a loss, tried everything. I even switched out the HDMI to a monitor cable instead, HDMI, on the TV, no difference. Finally, what I did was fired up a game on the big screen and then completely unplugged my widescreen monitor. Instantaneously, frames went up, lock 60, 0 issues. No problem. Okay. Tried resolution changes, all that stuff that you guys probably all thinking in your head. We did everything. I dropped the resolution all the way down, dropped it to low settings. Still
didn't
nothing.
Change a damn thing.
So then, so that's my weird little glitch with this whole setup. When I want to play on my big screen, I've got to change the big screen to my main display, obviously, start up the game, and then I have to turn off my widescreen monitor. I can't have my widescreen monitor on at the same time as my TV. Otherwise, I drop to literally, depending on the game, anywhere single digits to 20 frames. Like, it's awful. So that's my one weird little glitch. So
yeah, it was super weird. We definitely thought it was going to be a quick solution because, again, I have the exact same setup, 2 monitors, and then I have a hooked up. I mean, one of my monitor, the 1080p monitors, and I also have my 4K TV hooked up. The only problem that I run into is sometimes my 4K screen will flicker if I try to put it anything higher than 60 hertz in most cases, and then other times, depending on what I have going on, it'll cause the screen to flicker. I haven't really had that issue since, but it was just weird that ended up happening. Anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. God Emperor brings up the USB, whether or not we're getting enough wattage. Again, maybe that is the case. I don't know. I can play, if I'm not using my big screen, I can have both my monitors going, 0 issues on the frames at all between my widescreen and my regular 1080, but maybe the OLED is drawing too much power. Maybe it is the motherboard thing. I don't know. Like I said, it's just something I tried to look up online and nobody's really had that issue. Most of the time it was like, oh, you need to update your drivers and everything's fine. My AMD drivers are up to date, everything, right? So I don't know. It's a small inconvenience overall, like, to the grand scheme, just, turning the power off on my main monitor while I'm playing on the big screen. It's not that big a deal to me. And otherwise it's been flawless. Again, I've been running games 4K, the highest settings possible. And like I said, with Suicide Squad, even turning on ray tracing, 0 blips. So if that's the only thing I got, that's fine. So just wanted to answer that question instead of typing it all out. So, but Ozzy fan, again, this is why I've avoided PC gaming for a long time, is the convenience factor about these little weird things, hiccups that pop up where you got to fiddle around for 30 minutes trying to figure out what the hell is going on and try to get it fixed. Like random shit. One day the game works perfectly. The next day, all of a sudden you got it's like, that's why I avoided PC gaming. But I will tell you, when it's all working, now being able to sit on my couch on my 4K OLED, god damn, man. Nothing like it, man. Ain't nothing like it at all.
Tim says first world problem. No, 1,000%. This is definitely first world problem. This is not. 1, I'm not going to paint this like it's some other thing. No,
no.
It's really not that big of an issue in the scope of things.
No, it was just weird. It was just strange, and it was frustrating because, again, that's the reason why I've avoided PC gaming this whole entire time, because I hate tech. OBS problems, trying to stream, do a show, like all that little stuff really annoys the hell out of me when it doesn't make any sense. When there's not an obvious problem that you can go, oh, well, I know what I just did, or I know why it's doing this. It's just a lot of guesswork and trying to figure out why randomly your PC that day decided to start doing this. Like, I hate that.
And Jasper, that's probably exactly what it is. He says, I think it's just a weird bug when trying to run 2 displays with different aspect ratios. That could very well be the case, but either way, it's still weird. We're in 2024 and I'm not getting a pop-up on my screen that says, hey, by the way, this is the problem. You know what I mean? Like, at least these are the things that people don't say to you, but they expect for you just to be like, yeah, just get a PC. It's all great. Or people say, oh yeah, it's seamless. It's not always seamless, man. Like it can be again, this show has been seamless for some time. And then all of a sudden the last 2 weekends, it's not been seamless. Hey, and I haven't changed anything. Nope. I haven't done anything different. There was an update to OBS, there was an update to Zoom, and now And now it's happening with Discord now. I don't know. It's just weird.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's a bug happening, and now it's not doing it now. So, whatever. Cross my fingers and go from there. Next up on the list was Helldivers 2. Again, we talked about that a little bit earlier.
Yes.
I'm definitely sold on this. I think this is going to be a lot of fun co-op wise, especially. Hopefully, this does do some things for them multiplayer wise. This isn't a full price game either. So that's something to keep in mind. It's not a $70 game. I believe it's $50. Could be off on that.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it is $50.
I also don't know how much of a story it's going to have from what they made it seem. It's going to be very live feeling. Apparently
absolutely.
the devs are also going to be involved depending on what's going on. They can essentially change things on the fly. If they want to make things more, there were some interesting things that even the devs said that, hey, if we're seeing the players doing these things and we want to drop something in there, we can do that. And I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of a cool concept. The level of customization, again,
$40 for the regular version, by the way.
$40. Okay, dope. That's even better. So $40 game. Hopefully, PlayStation community invests. This may be something dope for them, especially. I would consider this more on the first party side of things because this was traditionally a PlayStation game, right? Helldivers 1 was a PlayStation game as well.
Yeah.
So
Arrowhead Game Studios, absolutely. Yep.
Nixie says the anti-cheat that's being used for Helldivers 2 doesn't seem to have a good reputation. Well, I mean, anti-cheat is definitely here and there. I don't expect for Sony to invest in the top of the line anti-cheat for an You're not going to hear me because I was on a different thing. There we go. Because, OBS crashed and took me to a different layout. Hey, we should be back live again, though.
Let's go.
We should be live again, though. So there we go. Let me refresh real quick. It's not saying it's up yet. Let me hit the play. Yep. All right, we're locked and loaded. I got my camera bugging out.
Let's not talk about it anymore. Maybe it'll.
Yeah, we just won't talk about it anymore. All right. Let me get this pulled back up. Appreciate you rocking with us, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry for the issues. But shout out to Helldivers. It definitely has us interested and excited. Then I want to bring up Judas, which is supposed to be a spiritual successor to BioShock. A lot of people were saying that it is too similar to BioShock. And this kind of, I saw some people saying that this lacked creativity because essentially he's following the same kind of strategy that he did with BioShock. And I don't know how true that is or whatever the case. I've always heard good things about BioShock. I haven't went back to play BioShock other than Infinite. That was my kind of first foray into it. But Judas definitely oozed quality for me. It looked like it was a really interesting game. I think it did look more attractive of a game to play versus Atomic Heart. It looks more, at least what I was getting story-wise was more enticing from what I saw out of Judas. Pong, I mean, you have more of the familiarity with BioShock and what this game is based off of. And again, along with that conversation, I also heard people kind of bring up, along with the negativity, they were like, well, this BioShock was his baby. Right? And so it kind of would make sense that maybe he goes out and tries to reinvent his baby, maybe. So, pause. So, I mean, how do you feel about Judas from what you've seen? I don't have an overall input other than it looked like it was good. It looked like it was interesting.
Ken Levine, one of my favorite creators ever since BioShock. Ken Levine. The only weird part is that he started this new studio, Ghost. What is it? Ghost. God dang it, I forgot the name of the studio. But he started this new studio to supposedly create smaller games, and then he winds up making a spiritual successor to BioShock that by all appearances looks to be
Very
a
similar.
big AAA type game,
Oh,
right?
oh,
So,
yeah.
you know what I'm saying? That's the only weird part, but it's Ken Levine. Ken Levine is one of those dudes who does his own thing. Wound up creating one of the best franchises in video game history. Like I always say, and a lot of people do agree that BioShock 1 is, if you're going to give an example of a game the closest to a perfect 10 out of 10, BioShock is one of those few games that you can name off. BioShock 1 for sure is. Love the entire BioShock series. Love when he took it in a new direction. Ken Levine is about themes and big ideas, and he's willing to tackle social issues that, again, devs aren't willing to risk. Publishers aren't willing to risk in a lot of ways. And he does it in such a fashion that makes it extremely interesting to be a part of it while you're playing the game. Even if you don't recognize or realize what you're actually kind of getting out of a game until the end, that's Ken Levine's genius. And I think he's bringing that to Judas. I don't know what people want anymore, Steele. I don't. I hate people like this. If Ken Levine had come out with some completely different style game, people have been like, why didn't you make a BioShock spiritual successor? Now that he's making a BioShock spiritual successor, which obviously is going to have many of the same type of elements that made BioShock so freaking great, because that is Ken Levine's baby. Now people want to say, oh, it's not different enough. You don't even know. You haven't played the game yet. You have no idea. You are judging it, which is fine. Again, like I said, if you played enough games, you can pick up certain things. Are there elements of BioShock that I can see without playing the game? Of course there are. Of course there are. He is legitimately going back to that kind of world on purpose. He obviously has a story to tell, and it's going to be different from BioShock. He's going to hit on some new themes. He's going to take on some potentially new
different
issues.
world now too. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. So it's going to be
issues.
The presentation itself is going to be different, and I'm all for it. Again, I'm Ken Levine stan. I can't wait to play Judas. This trailer right here got me even more interested into what's going on when the girl's talking about you are a frog boiling in water. If you guys don't know where that comes from, obviously, it's true. A frog will sit in boiling water until he's dead. A frog will not move out of the boiling water. You can boil them alive. That's how they cook them a lot of times. As sad as that is, as an animal lover here, I have a hard time with that, but that is true, and it became a saying. Obviously, that's very popular in culture. When somebody doesn't realize that they are in danger and they're just sitting in the middle of it all, just oblivious to what's happening around them, right? So anyways, I love Ken Levine. This trailer was amazing. Judas for me is one of those games that comes along from a creator like him. Again, the same way I feel about Todd Howard and that kind of stuff. They don't make games very often. When they come out, I'm there. I'm seated day one. I'm waiting to experience it in all of its glory. I don't care. I don't care what people want to say around it. Don't give two shits. I'm going to be there playing Judas, and it looks amazing, bro. I can't wait to see what he's got in store for us on this one.
Bold Judas is supposed to be, I don't know if it's going to end up being exclusive. They did say they made it seem that way here.
No.
But I don't.
Coming everywhere.
It is coming everywhere, so okay.
Yeah, it's already been confirmed. Xbox, PlayStation, PC.
Unless it changes, unless they get a deal or something.
Ken Levine won't, because Ken Levine wants his visions to be seen by as many people as possible at the end of the day. He won't give in.
Let's hope that continues to be the case.
Yes.
Let's hope so. All right.
Unless somebody acquires the studio, obviously.
Then that probably would be different.
It's a different situation potentially, but it's too far along. This game's coming soon. It's gonna be multi-plat.
Again, I mean, from all the games that we have seen thus far, I mean, I guess Dave the Diver, Death Stranding, Dragon's Dogma 2, Foam Stars, Hell Divers, Judas. There is definitely a collection of games here that are definitely, if you're invested in the PlayStation ecosystem, that you'll have access to and have some fun. So, I mean, there you go. You got some. Then we got some VR games that are thrown in here. One of them was Legendary Tales.
Yes.
For those who are interested in that.
Skyrim-esque
it looks
RPG
interesting.
VR.
Yeah. it definitely looked interesting. I have no interest in VR, so shout out to everybody that spent.
I had a VR laying around, I'd
VR.
pick it up. Right?
So shout out to that.
If we had VRs just laying around, if we were ultra wealthy or if we were doing this full time still and we had every system, I'd play it. I'd pick it up, play it, check it out for sure.
Timing wise, I mean, you're probably definitely more inept to do that than I would be, but yeah, timing wise, it's not. I wouldn't even give it time of day. So shout out to Legendary Tales for those who have VR or interested in it. They also showed for VR, which this is coming not only to PlayStation VR 2, but coming to all VR systems, supposedly, is Metro Awakening. And this is supposed to be a prequel to Metro.
Yes.
So shout out to everybody that's interested in that. It did look good, right?
Yep.
This is along the lines of what I would expect to see in VR. I'm actually starting to see more games, modern games actually be put in VR. Like people will take, for example, Armored Core. It has a first-person mod that you can use, and you can play in VR that way, right? So that's very interesting. I know that's not like true VR, quote unquote, but this is what I was expecting from VR originally, for it to not regress in the graphics, but for it to either start where we're at and progress further and do some other different things that we have seen, and it kind of go from there. But I don't have any interest in Metro. I haven't played any of the other Metro games. Pong, I mean, how do you feel about this? It's a VR game, but I believe you said some good things about Metro before.
Yeah, no, Metro's fantastic. Metro is a great series, post-apocalyptic series again. Used to be a part of the original Stalker team. They broke away when the original studio closed down. The two founders had disagreements, arguments, whatever you want to say is the smoke. They broke away, formed a team that created Metro. That's why Metro is so heavily influenced by Stalker. Basically, they were making Stalker because the original Stalker team had closed down. One of the founders that founded this studio obviously felt like maybe Stalker was never going to be made again, so he made his own version of Stalker in Metro, but added and changed things. But yeah, no, Metro's great. I'm glad it's getting a VR experience. Again, I'm not stupid enough, even though I don't have any interest in VR, not to say that VR doesn't have a spot and can't grow and might not be the way we consume games at some point the majority of the time. I want to keep seeing people push in this space, so that the fact that they created a Metro VR game, that's totally cool. I've heard some conversation around it that it is kind of sad for the Metro fans. If you don't have VR, you won't be able to experience the prequel to 2033. But then there's other people saying, well, if you got a PC, chances are somebody's probably going to mod it so that it plays on a flat screen, right? Somebody will mod it so that potentially that you will be able to play through the story at some point, even if you don't own a VR per se. So, but no, it's cool. It probably be way too much for me. Metro is definitely dark, has jump scare moments, but I still can play it because they give me guns. But in VR, might be a little too much. Might be a little
possible.
But I'm glad. I'm happy for everybody. It looked cool. It looked cool as hell.
Then the next game on that list is going to be Rise of the Ronin. We spoke about it a little bit earlier. Again, it does seem to be more in vein of a Sekiro and some of the other Souls game, Lies of P, such and so forth. Looking back at the gameplay when it was playing live earlier, I don't know. It may be a little bit more forgiving. Again, we'll see. I'm also very, very biased on it because I enjoy that gameplay style. So there may be things that I see in it that may say that it's easier for me, but maybe not easier for somebody else. So I try to be very wary about those things. But yeah, I mean, Rise of the Ronin, graphically, again, that's a conversation to have. I didn't think that it needed to be the most graphical game ever. Elden Ring, for what it is, isn't the most graphically impressive game, but the art style is extremely impressive, and the way that it presents itself is extremely impressive. And Rise of the Ronin might do the exact same thing. There's no reason for me to feel any different. I do feel like this is kind of like within their wheelhouse. Again, games like Wolong also aren't the prettiest of games. Nope. As an example, even Neo had some weird look
certainly
to
Team
it.
Ninja style.
Yeah, I think it's a team. I think it's just a Team Ninja thing. I don't know if it's the anti-aliasing that or whatever that it is. It's consistent with their style. So even when I went back to play Ninja Gaiden for a little bit, seem to be right along in their wheelhouse. So I am interested in the game. Hopefully it does come to PC at some point. It's not a reason for me to get a PlayStation, but hopefully the PlayStation community supports it. I don't know how well this game is going to do. I hope that it does decently well, though. It does seem like I've seen many more people down on it more now than they were before after this showing. So put that out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, quite apparent it's going to be a little bit more Souls-like, and so for me, it's like, even though I like, again, just like all Souls games, I love what they present. It's just probably not going to be for me.
It's open world, so
it's open world for the premium experience users over on PlayStation 5. I did see some of them because they seem so inclined to judge games graphically instead of the fun factor.
I don't think it's a bad
gameplay. It's not a bad looking game, but is it up to par with what they expect from their PS5? I heard some of them saying no, obviously. And again, that's the clown show, that's the circus. They sometimes do it to themselves too. Again, I hope the best for Team Ninja. I actually liked Wolong. I actually played more Wolong than I had of other. That game was more forgiving, so I could actually play it a little bit. I hope Rise of Ronin does well. It is strange that they're staying on that March 22nd release date, though, with Dragon's Dogma 2. I would give a week or two space for myself in that game, but they're gonna go roll with it. So I hope it does well. But definitely probably not a game I'm gonna be jumping into, unless Steel plays it and says, "Nah, I think this is something you could play." Then maybe I will. But out the gate, nah. Not for me.
1000%. Did Silent Hill the short message? This game was supposed to be like a demo of some sort, something like that. And this game is not being rated well at all. This is like
you call it a game. It's like a PT experience.
It's like a PT experience.
Yeah, it's like a PT experience.
A lot of people say that this is from the reviews that are saying out there, it's complete garbage. Not worth your time. I don't know. I haven't experienced these things. I'm not a scary game dude, so. But to each their own. I don't have much to say about Silent Hill. The Silent Hill that I do have something to speak on is Silent Hill 2. And again, as somebody that is not the scary game dude.
Yeah.
And Paul, he helped me a little bit in the background saying, that's kind of the traditional thing they've done. It's kind of always kind of played off of Resident Evil. But this game has too many similarities with the most recent Resident Evils that I don't see the point of this game releasing. I don't. The quality bar, the way that it presents itself, I don't see it. Now, again, I know people want Silent Hill, and so I get it. But if it's just going to be a Resident Evil knockoff and not be as good,
well.
I mean, there's other games that are of that same ilk too, but the way that this presented itself, and again, I'm going to be biased because I don't play these scary. I'm definitely not playing Silent Hill. From what I've seen, I would, Silent Hill. I would have rather probably seen them make like another Hills Have Eyes game. I think that would have been a better opposite side of the spectrum to kind of jump into, but I guess we'll see. They got some time to work on this. Is it Bloober Team that's working on Silent Hill?
Yes. Silent Hill 2 is a remake from Bloober Team, correct.
And
Makers of the Medium and Layers of Fear.
And people were also down on this game because of that, saying they don't have necessarily faith in it because of Bloober Team and what they did with the Medium, although I think the Medium is impressive for what it was. I'm not saying it's the greatest game, but it came out to like a 7 or something like that, which wasn't bad for what it was for a smaller studio and what they were doing with the game. But people don't have any faith in this. Chat, let me know how you guys are feeling. Pong, Silent Hill 2, did it, I know you're probably more familiar with Silent Hill than maybe I am. Did it kind of speak to you in that way from what you were expecting, or are you with me and it's kind of like, it kind of looks like Resident Evil?
Yeah, Silent Hill still was it was a Resident Evil type game back in the day too. What set Silent Hill apart was the story, right?
Okay.
And some of the enemies, like the nurses and Pyramid Head and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Silent Hill separated itself because it was even a little bit more horror than Resident Evil was back in the day, right? It was
Okay.
a little bit
So it was
darker
even
than
worse.
even Resident Evil. Yeah,
Oh, shit.
Different style of horror. Different. It grabbed people, but it never was as big as Resident Evil was. It always did kind of play second fiddle, but
It was
that didn't
iconic
make
enough.
it any.
Pyramid
Yeah,
Head
that
is a
didn't
big
make it
thing.
any less. There was a huge following of Silent Hill fans, and they've waited a long time for this. Again, another game that people, once Konami kind of disappeared from gaming, and people wondered if they were ever going to get a Silent Hill game again. The fact that they're going back to Silent Hill 2 and remaking it is great for all the fans out there. They've been waiting for a long time. Bloober is going to do Bloober. You know, that they are who they are at this point. They make a certain level of game. They've certainly gotten better as the years have gone. Actually, I kind of enjoyed the medium. I actually reviewed that for Boom. Boom and I did that. I played through like 85% of the medium, 80%. I think I'm through the game. It was all psychological, so I could play it. It wasn't over the top horror. Love the split screen mechanic with the two different worlds and all that kind of stuff. But Bloober is who they are. And they really haven't shown that their ceiling right now, at least. Again, teams can grow, teams can get more experience, and teams can change. Right now, their ceiling is pretty much what we see. So I wasn't expecting some huge, mind-blowing remake here. What I did see was good. Was it great? Animations wise? No, I mean, I see a lot of the old stuff out of it, right? But at the same time, I think it's a big enough jump for the people who are fans who have been waiting on Silent Hill to come back, to jump back into this game and find some enjoyment. And if they followed, Resident Evil's lead, then so be it. They follow Resident Evil's lead. Again, it's going to be the story. It's going to be that part of it. That's going to be interesting to see how the fans talk about it and maybe what they've changed or what they've taken out or what they've made different this time around, and whether or not that still hits with people, right? That's going to be the important part. So, but at the end of the day, I didn't have a problem with what I saw. It wasn't the most impressive thing, but again, for the Silent Hill fans, I've been waiting. This is going to be a big moment for them, and I hope Bloober does it justice. And I hope I hear the fans saying, yeah, this is good. This was a great experience to get back into. My nostalgia is satisfied here with this game. I think that's what they can kind of hope for at this point. I won't be going back and playing it because, again, now I could play those games back in the day because graphically it wasn't so realistic. Now, again, just like Resident Evils, they are too intense for me because graphically it's a lot
it's gonna be a lot
in your face, and they're probably gonna have even more jump scares and that kind of stuff than they did back in the day. So I'm not gonna be playing it, but I'm happy for the Silent Hill fans for sure. Absolutely. They deserve it.
Then the next thing on this list was going to be Sonic Cross Shadow Generations. This is interesting. I didn't play Sonic Generations, but them doing Sonic Cross Shadow and also introducing some of those shadow levels from his game, I think is super dope because it's not something that a lot of people. I think the Shadow the Hedgehog game went under the radar. People felt weird about it because Shadow was using guns in here. So there is that, but I do think that this is going to help bring some attention to the character. I do think that Shadow is a cooler character than Sonic is. Although, I mean, I do love Sonic, but the way that they introduce Shadow, the way that he comes across, him being the opposite most times to Sonic, I thought was also very dope. So you didn't only have Knuckles in the beginning, but then you had Shadow to be that polar opposite, and then eventually they end up working together for the better cause, quote unquote. But it's super dope to see them do this. Shadow is also going to have an appearance in Sonic 3, which is coming around Christmas this year. So Christmas movie of the generation. So I hope you guys are prepared for that. But yeah, shout to Sonic Cross Shadow Generations. The next one that we're going to jump into here is going to be Stellar Blade. Stellar Blade, man. This is one that me and Pong have been high on since we first saw the game. The game was originally announced to be releasing everywhere. Not Microsoft, but PlayStation went in and I guess dropped the bag off and have it locked down to their console now. So I'll be waiting until the game comes to PC. Hopefully it still does. If not, it'll probably come to PC down the road some point. But nonetheless, from what I saw from the game, it is definitely it looks improved, but in some ways it also doesn't look as fluid as the original gameplay demonstrated it to be. Now that could just be a me thing, looking at it, but I do think it still does look appealing. The character was still, again, they're definitely leaning into the Eastern culture where they tend to believe in the waifus, as they like to call them, attractive characters, right? You have an attractive lead character in Stellar Blade, and it's going to be interesting. She has a lot of good outfit choices in there. The gameplay looked outstanding. The combat looked good. They show some gun combat in there too. I thought that was cool, and that looked interesting. Again, it did look like they may have simplified some of the movements. Maybe it was just how they showed it, and that's why I'm feeling like that. I still have faith in it. I don't think it is going to be, unfortunately, I don't think that this game is going to sell as well as I want it to. And if it doesn't release on PC day one, I'm very fearful that this game may not get the recognition that it deserves. Again, we'll see. This is very in that ilk of what the PlayStation ecosystem likes. Again, single player, over the top. Again, there's a reason why Devil May Cry became extremely popular to me back on PlayStation 2 back in the day. So it's like, games like this can work, and it looks to be of that graphical quality that people like. Pong, what do you feel about Stellar Blade? Do you have some of the little things that I seen in there? Or did this this presentation kind of solidify things even more for you?
I was too busy looking at the outfits. I don't know what else happened during that.
Oh, okay, bet.
No, still high on my list. And like you, Steel, I'm crossing my fingers that it's coming to PC day one. Because I do want to play it. You and I have been excited since we saw it. I was super excited. Obviously when it was first announced, it was going multi-plat. It was going everywhere. And then obviously we know what happens. And like you, I'm just still hoping the PC version is in there. I hope it's day one. I'm not holding my breath. I do think it's eventually going to come to PC no matter what. I don't think they bought that much exclusivity. They might have delayed it a little bit just, to get it on PS5 first. But for a studio in Shift Up that hasn't done a whole lot, damn. I'm impressed, Steel. And I saw some people talking about how maybe it was downgraded. I think they did change some of the styling a little bit, and I think that might be what you're picking up on. But I think that
it just kind of looks like they simplified.
It's possible they
from
did.
The first trailer.
Yeah.
And again, it could have just been how they were trying to present the story and show you other little things, because the first trailer showed over the top combat. She was doing spins and doing all kinds of crazy shit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's just like, I want that to still be there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think the showing could have been that as well, because I think that this was definitely focused
more story focused for sure.
Yeah, it was introducing characters.
Mm-hmm.
It was introducing the skill tree,
Yes.
Some of the mechanics that you were going to get. It was giving you an idea that this game is going to be much more than just a standard hack and slash, that there is something, that there is substance behind it, that it's not just going to be straight up. And again, as a Devil May Cry fan, as a Bayonetta fan, who loves the hell out of those types of games, this definitely showed me that. And again, Steel, you and I talked in party chat about this, and I've seen other people say it. You said not so much, but I actually picked up some Nier type vibes from this game. And again, Steel didn't think that way. I just kind of felt it a little bit through some of the character interactions. Maybe it was her little robot that she was talking to behind her, kind of floating around, with her. I don't know what it was. I just kind of got that feeling. But I love the action combat sequences they did show. They showed her finishing off one of the monsters she was fighting, where she, ran up basically the entire monster with her sword and was cutting them wide open, right? That kind of stuff, that flair for the dramatic during battles. I love that kind of stuff. So I'm sold on Stellar Yams. Stellar Blade. So I'm all in. And obviously the Eastern flavor, the importance that they still put on perceived beauty, as you said, Steele, at the end of the day, certainly helps that. Because again, if I'm playing a game for a long time, I'm in a power fantasy mode. I want to see beautiful characters, right? So they definitely lean into that heavily on this game, and I'm all for it. I've seen the conversation already pop up over this kind of stuff. Give me a break, y'all. Give me a break. It's never going to stop, in society. Like, again, there are perceived beauty, and it doesn't matter if you disagree with it. It doesn't matter if you like things that, different things. It doesn't matter. There's still going to be devs and studios and publishers who still lean into that, and there's nothing wrong with it at all. And I've seen some disingenuous conversations, very disingenuous conversations this week from the Xbox side, about this fact, about some people who I didn't think generally went that route, and I was kind of shocked by it. We just need to knock all that shit off. Again, just because the game's not coming to your platform of choice does not make it trash, does not make it bad, and certainly does not delve into the realms of other very weird things just because it's not coming to your favorite piece of plastic. This is certainly not that type of game. I think it's right in line with Bayonetta. It's right in line with that whole that aesthetic. And I love to see it. I really do. And I think this game looks gorgeous. So I'm excited.
Absolutely. By the way, quick powered update randomly. The dev just put out, it is mind blowing that 2 weeks later that we are still hitting 1 million concurrent players on Steam.
1,000,003.
A week
Flash
later,
in the pan, Steel. Flash in the pan. Terrible game, trash game. If you play this game, it's because you are an R word and you actually don't know what good games are.
Oh yeah, I didn't like that. The conversation that immediately goes to, I need to find one of the most demeaning words, or the words that have kind of been removed as like socially acceptable to say, to talk about people. So people can't just like things.
Oh, Steel.
I have to be a dumb motherfucker. Oh, okay.
There's certain games, Steel, that you have to like. Otherwise, you are not a real gamer. You're just an idiot. It's just, again, people, there is a class of gamer out here. There is a subsect of the gamer out here that does still enjoy bullying people. I said this before. It's just that gaming got cool. So now there's a subset of people that normally would have been the bullies talking trash about people who play games. They now play games, but now they have to bring that bully attitude in here. They have to bring in the gatekeeping, and they have to make themselves, as all bullies do, feel superior to everybody else by stating that only the games that they enjoy, that is the mark of what you have to enjoy, and you can't go outside of that. Otherwise, you're not a gamer. You like kiddie games, you're broke boy, whatever. All the terms that they use out there now, that subset of gamer is now a part of this community, unfortunately, and it's sick. They have forgotten because they never truly had the passion for games. It's just because games became cool that they're here and they play a certain style game, but they truly never had the passion. They forgot what gaming was truly all about in the beginning, which was fun. It was about sitting down and having fun. It didn't always matter about what the games looked like or what they were presenting. If the game was fun, the game was fun, period. And we've lost a lot of that in the conversation. That goes for the journalists as well. Again, there's a whole class of journalists who don't want to be in gaming media. They wanted to be in political media or the news media in general, but they couldn't find jobs there. So they came over to the game media and they decided, okay, well, I play games here and there, so I can write about these things. And you can tell that they think that their opinion is better than everybody else's, right, that they are superior because they only play a certain type of game or a certain style game or a graphically intensive game, and everything else is shit. And how can you people enjoy this stuff? They forgot that it could still be fun no matter what it looks like, no matter what the IP is, no matter what the characters are. A fun game is a fun game at the end of the day, and that's what this hobby was built on. So sorry. And not everybody's going to enjoy it. Not everybody's going to agree. That's fine. But man, trying to classify people
Yeah, it's so
Try to
weird.
create-
It's fucking weird.
it's
I think
weird.
that's even more mentally
Yes.
of an issue than me liking a particular thing about a game.
Right.
Maybe that's just me, but I don't know.
No, Nixie, a million players doesn't mean that a game is good, right? But it does.
But Power World's good. It's a good game.
And a very few people playing a game doesn't mean a game is bad either, right? It goes both
Yeah, it
ways.
does
The
go both
hate
ways.
train,
Absolutely.
hype trains are two sides of the same coin, right? The hate train and hype train. So yes, are there a bunch of people who jump on games and fake love a game? Sure, of course, that can happen. They just want to be a part of the conversation on the same side that the hate people want to be on the a part of the conversation. Abso-freaking-lutely, of course, human nature. There's a bunch of sheep out here. I get that, but the fact is that for the most part, it's fun, and people are enjoying themselves for the most part. And again, I'm not saying that all 1,000,003 people right now concurrently playing internally, you'll never know the hearts of men, are all on the same level or enjoy it as much as the next person, but again, it's not wrong for people to be playing the game and say that they're enjoying the game. It's not wrong for people to be enjoying the game and having fun, period.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Sorry, there was some information behind the scenes that apparently shout out to Deli, man. He's a prominent member of the community. He's also somebody
that too?
in the he's also somebody in the community.
Grain of salt, but
Yeah, it's a grain of salt. There's
he's a good dude.
There's another point that I was going to bring up too with it, because they're trying to figure out whether it's information that's supposed to be out there. I mean, again, I was because I was talking a little bit about it with Umber, shout out to Umber, because he hit up Idol about it. It was like, hey, I don't know about this, which I get. I mean, you definitely want to do that. I would probably hit up Deli first to say, hey, man, is it cool for you to have this out here? And then, but nonetheless, I'm not going to crucify anybody for that. But I would think that I'm not going to say what his position is. It's not my business. I just know that Deli is somebody that is Agent Deli on Twitter. He is somebody that is within the industry, like 3-Bit. We talk about 3-Bit all the time, right? Who is well informed and is a badass as far as this stuff goes. He has some news about what's going on with Cinemax and how they're approaching Hi-Fi Rush and some of the other rumored things that are out there. He holds a certain position, I would say, apparently, that they're trying to get clarification on right now. But I would have to imagine that if he went onto a show to say these things, whether he clarified his position or not, if his position is out there and he felt good enough to say it, I would have to trust that it was okay. Now, I'm not going to 100% stick with that because sometimes, casual conversation, but I don't, at least for me, in my professional experience, typically, if there's information that I know that other people don't know, whatever the case may be, I am not going to talk about something even in the open if I know that some of my information is out there, right? Whether people are able to connect the dots or not, right? Especially business-wise. If I'm not talking to you about, there's things that we have been told behind the scenes that I would never bring to the forefront because we've been asked to not bring it to the forefront and for it to be kept behind the scenes, right? But I would imagine certain conversation would stay behind the scenes instead of you going on a platform to say whatever, but we're gonna get some clarification on that. I don't know if I necessarily want to get too much into it. What do you think, Paul? How do you feel about it? I think it's fair play because it was out there.
No,
I don't think it
was public on a
him.
show. I mean, it was public on a show, right?
Idol has taken it down.
Okay, as far as his position go, I mean, it's already been said. It's the internet is forever, right? But again, as far as position goes, that I don't know how public he's been. I know he's talked.
Idol specifically states
he states
position.
what it is. So no, I'm not gonna call that out either because if that wasn't public knowledge, if he's never officially
how else would he know that? Unless it was
behind the scenes stuff. Behind the scenes.
Hopefully that's not the case because hey, Idol, I'll definitely I gotta pull your card on that one.
If he's pulling it down, then
behind
maybe he realizes his mistakes. So
if it's behind the scenes information, that's messed up. To put a name to a title, because that can get people in trouble. But nonetheless, I'm not going to say what his title is. None of that. Nope. None of that matters to me. But shout out to him. Shout out to the Fix. Good show out there with Umbra and Danny G. Good people. Definitely check out their show if you'd like to. I also asked it anyway. But apparently there are some rumors out there that in the spring there may be some things said from Sarah. So Sarah Bond, excuse me. Yeah, make sure to say that name completely.
Yep.
Apparently there's some things about the metrics. There is some things about the internet discourse not being considered, but the concerns are valid. There's also considered discourse. If looked at from a different angle, there's missing information that you may not see.
Let's give the main point of what Sarah Bond's going to do. Supposedly, according to Agent Jelly on the Fix, give context, because he does a breakdown of kind of within that. But the context is he was talking on the Fix, and he said that Sarah Bond in the springtime will speak to explain the change in Xbox's strategy regarding Hi-Fi Rush, Sea of Thieves, and other games going multi-platform. And then this is summarizing some of the other points that were made about what she potentially could be talking about during this.
Yeah, I was trying to be a little bit more cloudy about it, but that's fine. It is what it is. Context. It's context.
He said it live, and it is context to kind of make these points stand out as to what the overarching theme was going to be if Sarah Bond gives this actual conversation, however this is going to come out.
So this will be metrics driven. Internet discourse isn't considered, but concerns are valid. Considered discourse if looked at it from a different angle. Excuse me. There's missing information that you may not see, which I think we've all hinted at that there may be some things there. Again, if these other platforms allow Game Pass on their service, who's really the problem? And it's not free. I've mentioned that before. Allusions to a very concise explanation about Xbox about the situation. A secondary speaker mentions that other people who were concerned previously are now saying we shouldn't be as concerned as we are. Which
he's talking about plugged in people, influencers, etc., who maybe spoke out. I mean, obviously, Jez wrote an whole article about why Xbox consumers should be concerned. He's hinting that some of those people have backed away a little bit from that. What's going on? You died?
I don't know what happened. I still had internet, and
you were completely gone, bro. And
I heard you the whole time.
You did?
Yeah, I've been able to hear you the whole time.
Because you were completely frozen on my screen.
Yeah, I heard you when you said that.
Wow. Okay. Are we back up? Are we
rolling? It looks like it is. Looks like it's back up.
That was one of the weirdest things.
I have no clue.
I thought you lost your internet completely. I thought you were dead.
Why that happened, I was searching through Google.
Stop.
And I even pulled it up on my phone. I pulled up Google on my phone and worked.
Don't touch anything. Just joking.
Trying not to. I'm trying not to.
Jesus,
I don't know. I don't know what it is. This is so weird. And again, I'm not having. Matter of fact, I'm gonna get into these last few points. I'm gonna look at some additional things. I'm not seeing anything deleted, anything. But the big three platform holders have the liberty of paving the road and laying the brick at the same time. Okay. A lot of conversation around this kind of stuff is ongoing. Everything discussed has been covered and or has a clause around it. I think that some of these statements kind of, give credence to what Phil has said previously, that this is about giving you games wherever Game Pass exists. And I think there's something along that mantra that may include Game Pass. Again, I feel like some of this information, especially with them, quote unquote, saying that we shouldn't be as concerned as we are. I mean, I'm not concerned, but some people shouldn't be as concerned as you are. I heard you guys talking about it last night, about the possibility of these things happening and exclusivity. As we've discussed before here, I do have a bit of a different look. It's actually really funny to see people be excited about this year when 2022 was very similar for Xbox, and people crucified Xbox for that year that they had. But 2024 is going to be very similar for PlayStation as far as the types of games that are coming second and third party, literally carrying them, which was the same scenario for Xbox in 2022, but this time around, because it's going to be on the Xbox platform, or because it's going to be on the PlayStation platform, it's different. It's an exclusive because it's going to be here. So the conversation is already different. Again, I defended Xbox for 2022. I've been kind of defending their vision and the way people have been looking at exclusivity for quite some time, because things have changed. The way that we look at gaming is completely different from before. And the idea of exclusivity doesn't hit the same. You don't necessarily need or have to depend on a Halo or a Gears or a Forza, just the same way that PlayStation can't depend on a Horizon, a God of War, a Gran Turismo. The stats have proven that this is the case. So Pong, I mean, with this information, again, I know we're breaking up our I know we're breaking up our state of play conversation here. Again,
we're almost done anyways.
Breaking news coming out of nowhere.
Yeah,
we covered everything. We had V Rising, which has been out. It's dope to see that coming to console, and then Zenless Zone Zero. I could have anticipated that with PlayStation seemingly having a great relationship with Hoyo. This is unfortunate because yes, this is coming to PC, but fucking Xbox. Really? You don't even fight for it?
We don't know. We don't know what the conversation is. We don't know anything. They got Pal World, so we're good there.
Yeah, well, I mean, we are good there, but again, nonetheless, we also have some other games. Hopefully they get Wuthering Waves. That's made by Kyle, so maybe we get the opposite. Anyway, besides the point, that's essentially the state of play in a nutshell. I think we covered that in complete totality. But as far as this breaking news that we got here, and again, shout out to Agent Deli, much love to you. Hopefully this isn't anything that gets you in trouble. If it does, again, we'll go back, pull things down if we need to. Again, but I just feel like you wouldn't have said it in public if you felt like you might have got in trouble for it. But again, maybe just me looking into things. But again, Pong, what do you take out of the summary of these comments and kind of just getting a little bit more of that peek behind the curtain?
The big thing for me, and this I mentioned this when we've been talking about again the whole. First of all, let me make this clear. Chat, listen up, y'all. I don't know why people come into chats during podcasts and feel like they're hearing something completely different.
Oh, yeah.
Than what we talk about when we talk about this kind of high level stuff. So let me make this. We got Xbox Ultimate chat. I mean, again, not everybody again, but there was plenty of people in Xbox Ultimate last night that for some reason, when we talk this high level stuff, they don't hear everything else we say about how we feel about things personally. And it's instantly because so many people are emotionally charged about this conversation about Xbox and about maybe potentially going multi-platform, they don't want to hear it. Listen, if I was in charge, if I was Phil, I would not be Phil. I would be Peter Moore. I would be cutthroat. I would go for the win. I criticized Phil's comments, and I brought these up on Xbox Ultimate last night from last year in the interview where he said that they can't win. That they were in third place and there was in no world could Starfield come out as 11 out of 10 and have people sell their PS5s to move to Xbox. I hate that mentality from a competitive standpoint. I've been in a competitive industry for 25 plus years and I have never taken the attitude of even when it looked bleak, and it doesn't matter the situation, even when it looked bleak, I competed to the very end. And if I was Xbox, I'd be out here. Everything would be exclusive. I'd be cutthroat. I'd be going after more. All of that. That's just who I am. And that's the way I look at business. But that's not what we're talking about here, right? We're taking high level view. We're talking about Microsoft as a $3 trillion company now being heavily invested into their Xbox $1 billion division, which is now more profitable with ABK than Windows. This is a whole different kind of conversation to have. What we're trying to do is think of the reasons why, speculate on why it possibly could happen and what could go on. I'm not cheerleading this at all. Okay. I'm not cheerleading this at all. But this is business, and business don't give a shit about your feelings, no matter how strong those feelings are. They just don't. Even a public facing company like Xbox, they've listened to the community in the past and made some changes. But when parent company Microsoft, $3 trillion walks in and invests $70 billion to go buy ABK, all that shit's thrown out the window. This isn't baby games anymore. This is big, big business, gigantic business. The fact that we can say Xbox makes more than Windows, is more profitable than Windows to Microsoft, you're on a whole nother level. So we got to think way outside of our own personal feelings about the brand, about where Xbox is going, and potentially what the future could look like. And that's what we do on these shows. Again, if you hate it, you hate it. I can't stop you from hating that kind of talk, but it is what it is. So the big thing here still, if this stuff that we just talked about is real, right? That Sarah Bond is going to come out and give an explanation in the springtime about what's happening. This is what I said, because Xbox is public facing, because they have been so involved in the community with obviously the enthusiasts of Xbox, right? The loyalists of Xbox, right? There's all different ranges in there. I'm somewhere in that range too, because I'm not by any stretch of the imagination an Xbox only fan. I'm certainly not by any stretch of the imagination an Xbox loyalist through and through, right? I'm not. Again, last generation Xbox wasn't speaking my language. I went and bought a PS4 first. Okay. I've been that way all the time. I play anywhere where I feel I'm getting the best value, but there's a whole range of people, but they have been extremely invested in the community. And that was on purpose. Phil wanted to do that. Phil knows you take the good with the bad. He knows that knife cuts both ways when you do this. That's why most companies of this size, most brands, do not do this to the degree Xbox has. PlayStation, Nintendo, neither one of them are in their communities on any meaningful level. Xbox is. I've said time and time again, if this is happening, and again, as I spoke about last night, go back to Phil's quotes. He flat out telling you guys what was going to happen. Case by case basis. Okay? Some people threw that away and said, he didn't really mean that. He was just saying that, blah, blah, blah. We had speculation on whether or not that was true, whatever. Let's take all of his words as face value. They've decided they can't win the console war. They've moved beyond the console to a much, much bigger place. They see the vision that we believe, if that's true, the crystal ball, that eventually everybody will move to a digital age in which there won't be hardware anymore. And you'll be able to play on whatever ecosystem off of any device that you have that has access to those ecosystems, whether it be Sony, Nintendo, Xbox, it don't matter. If that is the future, and we believe that, we've speculated on that, that's the vision that they kind of see, then obviously I believe if you don't think that you can win the console war anymore, and that your basis for your ecosystem is no longer about hardware at all, then you are going to dabble in these areas when it comes to going multi-plat. Not that you're going to go full third party. Not that Xbox is going to stop making hardware, because that's still an access point, an important access point for 30 plus million players. Not that they're going to close up shop in 2027. None of that nonsense. Again, the overreaction is ridiculous. But they are going to dabble with certain IP, certain games, and put it elsewhere. Whether that is to expand their sphere of influence to places that maybe those players really don't ever pick up an Xbox game, first party wise, because they just are Nintendo only fans or Sony only fans or whatever the case may be, or whether it is to see what kind of reaction they get from those communities to their games, and if they can sell, whether it's an extra 50,000 copies or it's an extra million copies, if they can drive some extra revenue in to the overall well-being of Xbox as a business entity, they're going to do that because Microsoft has shareholders. And whether you like it or not, this industry is beholden to the money men, to the numbers guys.
To a degree, yeah.
We all like to think that again, the devs themselves create art, right? A form of art for our entertainment. But at the end of the day, It's the number guys who really have a whole lot of power. And like I said, now with Microsoft's investment in Xbox, that power is even more so. So they are going to dabble in this realm. But I did say, because of Xbox standing in the community, because of the enthusiasts, the loyalists who have been through the bad times, and I get it from that. I can put myself in the shoes of the Xbox only fans who have ridden this train off the tracks, back on the tracks, and now they see their favorite company in a position of power through all the acquisitions to finally stomp on the competition, because we all grew up through Sega versus Nintendo, PlayStation versus Nintendo, Sega getting run out of the business by Sony in a lot of ways, and their own bad decisions as well. I'm not that dude who says Sony had all of the hand in it, but they certainly didn't help it. I grew up in that era, so I get that. You finally see your favorite company in a position to stomp on the competition, to flex its muscles with all this IP, all these studios, first party exclusives, all that. I get it. I understand why there would be frustration with this. But you got to take a step back, because the only reason why this is happening is because video games is big business now.
Yep.
Because there's money to be made, and there's money to be made in other places. And Xbox, again, I do not believe they are ready to go full third party. I believe that we have at least, I've said, 2 generations of hardware left. Xbox is not going to abandon that hardware situation. There is still reason to own an Xbox, even if they put it out there, put certain games, because of the ecosystem, because of your friends list, because of Game Pass. Game Pass is not going on PlayStation or Nintendo anytime soon, in my belief. If it does, that changes the conversation a bit. But there's still reason to be in this ecosystem, and they're still going to cater to the community in certain ways and make sure that the community is taken care of. Phil also said that. So if we're going to believe all of other Phil's quotes, Phil still wants to make sure that the Xbox only player, the console player, does feel like a first-class citizen. That was one of his quotes during that interview as well. But they do owe the enthusiasts, the loyalists, an explanation of exactly how this is going to look. I've said I'm not sure that they know yet. They're testing things. They're testing waters. They're treading new areas that a company like Xbox that still produces hardware doesn't necessarily, or hasn't in the past, tread before, because they're breaking ground, because they're so much bigger now than just the plastic box. They are expanding into mobile, PC, cloud, everywhere. This is a much bigger picture. So I don't know if they have a clear vision. But what I did say is, if they're going to do this, and there are certain titles that they are going to dabble with, then 100%, because of, they don't have to do anything. Again, business don't care about your feelings.
Right.
But I do believe people like Sarah and Phil do honestly care about the community. And so I would expect them to come out and do something like this. If this is real, this is exactly what I was speaking on. Have one of your leaders come out and explain exactly, if you can't give the full vision, right? If you can't, give away the company secrets about exactly what your strategy is going forward, you can at least talk to your community directly, those enthusiasts, and make sure that they get what your plans are right now and what type of games will be going to multi-plat, and to reaffirm for those people that do need affirmation about their purchase, about their investment into the Xbox brand and ecosystem, that is not going anywhere, and that there will still be exclusive content, and there will still be only things you can get if you're invested in this ecosystem, that it's not all kumbaya, that they're not going full third party, that PlayStation fans can't sit over there all the time and say, well, I'll just wait for it to come PlayStation on every single game, or Nintendo fans. You have to come speak to those people directly because of the position you put yourself in with the community. And I think that's, if this is true, if Sarah Bond's going to have a springtime sit down and really kind of lay out what's happening here and what they're thinking, then that's great. That's exactly what I said they should do for the fans themselves. So that's my thoughts on it.
1,000%. I'm not going to get into it. I'm not going to get into it too deep, as I'm probably just going to end up repeating some of the things that I've said already. And I'll probably end up making this take another 15 minutes or so here. and unfortunately, we got to start winding things down. So, Paul's got places to be. I'll say this, and I'll leave it at that. Obviously, Microsoft is doing something different with Xbox. They have said this since the very beginning. I am of the mind that if anything goes anywhere else, and it's because of Game Pass. And I do not think that if Game Pass goes on other platforms, that is a negative. Why? For the same reason that I explained before. If these other platform holders allow the Xbox ecosystem onto their platform, that is not Xbox's problem. Matter of fact, that is an extreme benefit to Xbox. And actually, the people that you should be upset with is those other publishers, a Sony and Nintendo. Because, again, yes, you're going to get more inherent value, but I thought you didn't want these games over here. And now we are getting more people that are saying that because, again, these games were supposedly of no value to the PlayStation community. That's the way that it has been pitched. To gamers, that's the way that it comes across sometimes. That these games do not have the inherent value because they are not of the same quality or do not matter as much as a B, C, D game. That's what it is. Now, again, Pixel, you're bringing it up. I saw you mention it earlier. Yes, if Game Pass goes on multiple platforms, guess what? No, you don't have a reason to buy an Xbox no more. But I will also refute you on that and say, where else are you going to get the ecosystem at? PC? Please go spend over $1,000 for you to get a PC that is comparable to the experience that you're getting on Xbox for a console. Please go do that. Because all you're doing is inherently investing more into the Microsoft ecosystem. At the end of the day, you have to go buy Windows again. Sure, you can get Windows for free if you like, if you're one of those guys and find out ways to do it. Also, Windows comes cheap nowadays. So regardless of the fact, it is what it is. Windows is also the #1 operating system. So guess what? Guess where the support is going to be at on Windows? It's going to expand out. Linux is becoming more popular. People are starting to get everything rolling for that. But you got to go through Windows. Boom, already stepping through Microsoft. No, they are not a hardware company outside of Xbox, so I can't say that they run PC, but they do run the operating system that is #1 across the globe. Not only that, then you have to get invested into Xbox Game Pass, which is $16.99. Guess what? Now you're in the Xbox ecosystem. You don't have to buy the hardware. Okay, well, go buy your PlayStation. I never said that you were going to get the full catalog of Game Pass on that system. You might get certain games. If it's a Hi-Fi Rush, if it's this game, if it comes to your platform years later in a service, even if it comes without the service. No matter what, I see it as the same thing to me. If you allow a publisher's game on your platform, you are already submitting to the fact that you needed more sales and that you have to expand beyond your base. Notice, nowhere in that am I saying all of Xbox's games are going to these platforms. Nobody has clarified that. Now, I can also say for me, this is why I try not to, this is why we have created a non-console centric platform and we are more on the neutral side of things, although I have blatantly admitted that I am more tailored to the Xbox side of things because of the ecosystem. The ecosystem for Xbox has been the exclusive for me. It will forever and always be the exclusive to me. Yes, Halo matters, Gears matters, Forza matters, and those games should not go to these other platforms unless you decide to put them there towards the end of their lifespan. Because yeah, let's expand the base out. Let's get some more people involved in multiplayer. Because what I'm going to do the next time I put out another reiteration of that game, guess what you're going to have to do? Come invest in this ecosystem. Come buy this platform. Go get you a PC. Go get you an Xbox. Because just the same way people say, oh, well, I see this completely different from PC. Oh, PC, oh, it's already, everybody's doing it. So, yeah. If games are coming to PC, then obviously things have to be multi-platform. PC will always be the central ecosystem for all the platforms. Why? Because that is the way that the PC ecosystem has been intrinsically built since the very beginning. And you cannot limit people with their hardware on PC because it has been set up to be that way. And that will never happen. That's why piracy is still as big as it is, along with the whole ownership of games and whatnot. People have an option. And if you're not going to give them one option, for an example, Nintendo, if you're not going to put your games on PC because not everybody wants to deal with mediocre performance, and again, I'm not going to sit here and say that piracy is the most okay thing in the world, but I do have to agree with the fact of ownership. You don't own the shit that you buy from the store on in the case. So the only true ownership that we have today is piracy. Believe it or not, if you go pirate a game right now, it doesn't matter what happens. You have that game until the end of life. And I will say, if you pirate a game, please make sure you at least buy the game first. Now, again, I know that's not everybody's situation, and I'm not going to be the guy to crucify. That's not the line that I'm going to draw. It is what it is. You decide what your line is. But there are obviously things that have been painted in such a way over the years that things need to be done differently. Xbox blatantly has told us the console market is not going to succeed for us. PlayStation, I'm going to continue to reiterate this, has told the consumer, hardcore or not, that their community is not enough. Guess what you got to do? Put games on PC. Guess what you got to do? Allow other people to start jumping into your multiplayer games. Why? Because we also live in a world where time is a real thing. And not everybody has time to play all the different games that are out. So at the end of the day, what are you going to do if you're going to make these investments? I don't know what the true strategy of what Xbox is doing here or what they're going to do with the potential titles that may come to other platforms. What I will say is the same thing that everybody else says when it's PlayStation games coming to PC. I made you wait for it, so now what? It was still exclusive to my platform for 4 years, so? Isn't that the argument that gets used? Why is it different for Xbox all of a sudden? And that's my problem. Do not talk one way, but we can't go the other way. Because that makes no sense. Everybody's doom and gloom about Xbox, but you're not doom and gloom about PlayStation and them talking about nothing but second and third party games. Again, it's a state of play. But most of the games that they've shown there are not exclusive to the console. They're coming to PC. Things are changing, ladies and gentlemen. Mm-hmm. I am exclusive to whatever ecosystem gives me the best bang for my buck. Correct. Thus far, since Xbox has existed, they have given me that. But I am also a multiplayer gamer. So the way that I look at games, the way that I critique what is happening around me is going to be very vastly different in comparison to Pong, who grew up. And yeah, I remember the Sega Nintendo beef and the PlayStation and all, the competition that PlayStation Xbox had back in the day. And I loved those moments. Because I love PlayStation as well. My fondest memories on PlayStation. I have some of those equal memories on the Xbox, and I don't devalue one console more than the other outside of the ecosystem. I'm not invested in the Sony because I don't have games that I want to play from them. Now, if they gave that to me in a service and it was available on PC, maybe I'd consider it. But they're not doing that as of yet. Helldivers 2 is. Is Foam Stars going to be that way too? Or are they going to just depend on their base to try to support that game? That's just my outlook on it. I don't know what the truth path is. There's plenty of information and plenty of rumors going around right now that there is something that is going to happen. And it's going to be interesting to me to see how things happen. Because unfortunately, Pong, I'm not holding the line for any one particular company. Shout out to King David. If that's what you want a front line for Xbox, go check out Xbox Frontline. Some amazing content if you're an Xbox fan. If you're a gamer, honestly. Because even David still chops it up about both sides. I love the way he hits the angles about it. And it's fun. And he blatantly tells you that he's having fun with it. Or like the sports team comparisons that are happening. The only difference is we're not getting a chip at the end of the year. Game of the year, maybe, but that's not true. That's not even, that can be debatable. Sports are becoming much more debatable also, seemingly, especially with that Ravens game. That was kind of really weird. Anyway, nonetheless, that's kind of my thoughts on it, man. I don't think, and I agree with you, some of the points that y'all made yesterday. I don't think that these games going over there would necessarily move the needle for anybody. But I don't think that this is a situation where Xbox is getting nothing in return. I think they are still getting more than money. There is something more than money that is sitting on the table for them. But again, to me, it does not matter if I give you a game years later on your platform. Especially if it's maybe a newer game, if it's not an Elder Scrolls that has been a critically acclaimed game. This is not my outlook on it. So they will continue to do exclusive content because again, exclusivity does matter for brand identity. But for me, the brand identity for Xbox has been the ecosystem, has been the type of multiplayer gaming, has been the services, has been Game Pass. Game Pass has allowed me to play more games than I've ever played before. I can only say that about one company.
Yeah, that's a fact.
One company is also blatantly telling you that they want you to play games wherever you want to play games at. Yep. They don't care whether you buy the Xbox. Go buy a PC. They've already told you this. So people saying that they're devaluing the console more. Why are more people buying Series S's then? Why does Paul come on here and say, man, these fucking PC issues, that's why I like to play my box? The majority of players are that way. Nobody wants to fiddle with PC shit all day.
Some people do.
But the majority of people do not want to do this. They do not. Then that is a proven fact. So that's my feels on it. I'm going to go ahead and start winding things down here, ladies and gentlemen. Get Pong out of here and rocking and rolling. Pong, what a wonderful show. We had a little bit of issues here and there, but I think we still rocked it out with our socks out. So appreciate chat. Y'all coming through. And again, if y'all feel like y'all need to sell your Xboxes or whatever the case, do it. Sell it. Send them the message. Again, that's what you're supposed to do against these corporations. Speak with your wallet. If this is what it's going to take for you to speak with your wallet, do it. Are you going to stop playing Xbox games? Probably not. Are you going to play with a PlayStation controller? If you like the Xbox controller? Because that's not going anywhere. The Xbox controller has Bluetooth in it, right?
Yep.
You can connect to... Matter of fact, you want another statistic or scientific proven fact? The 360 layout controller or the Xbox layout controller is the most comfortable controller across the globe.
Mm-hmm.
So you're just going to give that up? You're going to give your access points up? All of that. If you get more games over here, then you're going to give all that up. If you're not, then maybe there's more of a conversation that we can have. More interesting conversation that we can have. It's the last thing I'll leave off with before I let Pong end it. If you don't want to go the way of the dinosaur, if you don't want gaming to die, if you are listening to what these people are telling you, games are becoming more expensive and people are not buying.
That's a fact.
Matter of fact, they are waiting even more so than ever to buy games later. Sit with that as you will. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Living Split Screen episode 136. Sorry for all the issues that we ran into here. Audio listeners, y'all might not even experience some of that. Hopefully YouTube does pretty well blending it all together with all the blips that we had in the matrix there. But it was a wonderful episode nonetheless. Got in many passionate conversations, a lot of interesting topics there. But Pong, my brother from another, get these beautiful people out of here. Let them know where they can find you, brother. And again, great episode with you, man.
Of course, man. What a fantastic episode. Great to sit down and always have a conversation with you, have a conversation with the chat. We got big topics. This gaming industry is evolving. Companies are evolving at all times. We're seeing it. Like I said, this is a transformative time period for the video game industry. We're all here to witness it, and lucky enough to have these shows to discuss it too with other people who are just as passionate. And I know passions do run high and get emotional about this stuff because we do care about these, this industry as a whole and about what goes on. And maybe you care that much about your favorite company too. It's all part of it. Mm-hmm. But you know what? We're going to have these higher level conversations. We're going to have these conversations about games, and we got a lot of games to talk about. So thank you all for joining us today. You're hearing about new games instead of Vampire Survivors and me going back and playing Dragon's Dogma, the original, and all that kind of stuff. We're talking new games, and you're going to be hearing more and more new games too, because we've got so many lined up. So thank you all for joining us on this episode of Living Split Screen. I hope you all enjoyed it. Again, sorry, as Steele said, for the tech problems.
Yeah, all good. I'm not going to get personal with it this time. It is what it is.
So, but
still had a good show.
It is what it is. It has been a great freaking show, and we had some really cool stuff to talk about here today. So, love you all. Nothing but respect. All the support, all the share outs, all the extra support is never expected, but always appreciated here on Living Split Screen. You guys all know that. We have fun with the hype train. We have fun with that kind of stuff. But again, just thank you all for being here and giving us your time as well. Tonight, you know the drill. The Shop Podcast, best way to end your Saturday night. We've got two characters joining PTK Blam. Of course, it's PTK Blam's channel. It's Fuzzy Belvedere. It's my tonight. Two characters. We got the one and only, somebody I haven't spoken to in a very long time. I used to podcast with him on the regular over on Boom's channel for sure. Mr. Badbit, the one and only Mr. Badbit Joe is going to be there tonight.
He's been in some conversations.
Always get into conversations with Joe for sure. Him and I don't always agree, so there's always some good back and forth between him and I sometimes, but love Joe. He's a cool dude. So anyways, he's going to be there. And from the Fun Speculation family, Game Pass Dad is going to be joining us as well tonight on the Shop Podcast. So we'll see what kind of conversations we're going to have. It's going to be kind of fun. And it's going to be 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 o'clock Central Time. Be there again. PTK Blam's channel, the Shop Podcast. Have us on in the background while you're playing games. It's a chill time, but we do have some deep conversations over there. Steele's constantly over there. Mav's over there. Always great guests. We had Kay Asante last weekend. Come on by. It's been growing over there. It's fun. Next week, it's going to be Tuesdays. You know the drill there. Xbox Factor Podcast. Double Barrel Gaming is the channel. Mr. Boomstick is the man. All good things green every Tuesday. And now that includes some extra spice because the one and only brother Steel Rain is over there on panel, 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 o'clock Central Time. Be there for that. And then Thursday night, it's PM in the PM, Pong and Mav in the PM. We pulled a split screen this week, Steel, 4.5 hour PM in the PM. We usually do 3. Rare 4. 4.5 is even rare, but we had a good time on Thursday night. Talked a lot of different conversations. Suicide Squad, this third party stuff, all this kind of stuff. Just Go check it out. PM to PM every Thursday night. Me and Mav get down to business, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 o'clock Central Time, and then back over on the Fun Speculation Network Friday nights for Xbox Ultimate, where the fam gets together. Last night, great panel. We laugh a lot. We wound up talking food for the last half hour of the show, as sometimes is happens, but we do talk a lot of gaming too, so be there on Friday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time for Xbox Ultimate. Otherwise, God willing, back here for another episode of Living Split Screen with one of my favorite people in the whole wide world, Mr. Steel Rain, and some of my favorite chat in the whole wide world, all of you. Listen, y'all, Pong Soul on X, formerly known as Twitter, Pong Soul on Xbox, you guys know that. It's the golden age of gaming. Lot coming up. A lot this year is already phenomenal, and we just got more down in the pipeline. Get out there, play what you love what you play. Have a great rest of your weekend. I'm going to talk to you all real soon. Thank you again for joining us. Steel, get us out of here, brother.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you can find me, Steel Rain I. That's He is a 7 everywhere. Google's the easiest place. Saturday mornings, right here, 9 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Eastern, and 3 p.m. UK time with Living Split Screen, your non-console-centric platform. Tuesdays at 11 a.m. Central on the Xbox Factor podcast. And then also coming up here soon, me and the Brody 3-Bit got something working on it. Again, more devs. Want to get more information out there so people can be more aware of people who are working throughout the industry. And it's an honor for him to even ask me to be a part of that with him. So that's going to be Sundays at
February
2 p.m.
18th, right?
Yeah, it's going to start Sunday, February 18th at 2 p.m. Central. So stay on the lookout for that. And other than that, y'all stay safe out there. Appreciate you for checking out episode 136. We'll be back next week with episode 137. And yeah, apologies that we didn't get into do any of the this day in gaming or upcoming week of games. We just got into a lot of passionate conversation offhand. But we'll bring it back next week. No worries. Much love, ladies and gentlemen. Y'all stay safe out there, and we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.